All right, let's do it.
Hello, Xbox Nation, and you're going to notice something a little different today. We started on camera. We're not going to remain on camera all day. We just wanted to kind of maybe get people to see what we actually look like in real life, because we're getting a lot of new viewers, especially on the Xbox Factor podcast. So, of course, I am your host, MrBooMStickXL, and man, we are 5 days away from the Series X and the Series S launching, and preparations from everybody are starting to come into fruition. Lots of stuff to talk about. This show is going to be fantastic. We are waiting for our special guest. You know him as Slow-Mo Backslap. He should be here momentarily. But of course, let's get into the introductions first, before we break down some of these outstanding topics and we wait for people to shuffle in. Let's start with the cog that keeps this show running. You know him as the bravest man, someone that is going to love playing in A Little Hope that we're going to be streaming on his Twitch channel tomorrow, and the battle cries will hopefully be kept to under a decimal 2. Please welcome Zemi Games.
I don't think we should advertise them as battle cries anymore, Boom. I think we should just be honest to your viewers and just say that they're going to be fear-inducing screams. But man, I am excited. I'm excited. I'm actually more excited that you're going to be there and you're going to be offering me the moral support as we're playing through Little Hope
and walking through all of the doors first. By the way,
yeah. By the way, do not abandon me. I have separation anxiety now. Okay.
You know what? To tell the people about that for a hot second, there were a few times that I walked around the corner and I didn't tell him, and he comes running. Boom, where are you? Boom, you're leaving me in the room by myself.
Boom, where are you at? Boom, come back to me. Come back. I don't want to go down the hallway alone. But no, man, dude, I'm excited for that, and you guys should definitely tune in to my Twitch channel tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time if you want to watch that. But 5 days, Boom. 5 days. If I can count. Can I count? Is it 5?
Yeah, 5 days. 5 days and 7 days, respectively. If you count the fact that yes, there is another launch 2 days later, and my God, I'll put it this way:
9 days later. 9 days later.
Oh, yours 9 days later. I mean, look, I'll say this: if you are a fan of Double Barrel Gaming, you are going to get a double, potentially a triple dose of content next week. I'm looking to stream every day of the week. And everything is going to be very uniquely placed. Of course, Monday evenings primetime gaming is going to consist of the pre-launch special, and I am just kind of sewing up a few panel detail members. I'll be making an announcement later today. It's going to be the biggest show I've ever done, and it's going to be the biggest panel I've ever had. And some of the biggest Xbox guys that you listen to, hopefully, will be making their way through what's going to be an epic panel. And of course, Tuesday, after we pick up our systems and I get a chance to, play with it, hopefully for about an hour, we're going to be going live at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the actual launch day special. And I'm still putting that panel together. Hopefully you can stop by and take the time or actually you could probably still play your new console and listen to the show. Hopefully that will be a big show. Wednesday's show, I'm not sure what we are doing. I'm working on that. But of course, Thursday's Xbox Factor podcast is going to be the 72 hours later show, talking about our experiences with the new console and all of the games. And then Friday's Breakfast with Boom is going to be dedicated to, of course, the PlayStation 5 launch and what games we played, because Thursday is the launch of the PlayStation 5. So it is going to be a very busy week for content. If you enjoy this channel, get ready, because I'm going to have you covered. But let's continue with the introductions. Next up, you know him on loan from PlayStation Nation, someone that has, in my opinion, a show that rivals even Greg Miller's show. And how do you like them apples? Please welcome Mr. Bad Bit.
What's going on? What's going on, guys? I am so tired, but yet so excited for next week. There's going to be so much stuff. Like you going like, oh, we're going to stream every day. It's giving me flashbacks of like what's to come, because it's going to be similar over there on the trophy room. Every day we got a new video.
Well, it's a celebration. I mean,
It's
listen,
a celebration for sure.
Yeah, we all want to give our opinions. We want to hear everyone's opinions. And this is a great time to be a content creator, because one of the things that I enjoy so much is the interaction with the community and being able to give that community quality podcasting that they want. And I think that, and I think everyone here could easily say that the reward of having these shows is to have people listen to them and enjoy them, and actually really enjoy the banter that we have with each other, but with them as well. So, Joe, we're looking forward to seeing what the trophy room brings, and I'm expecting great things. I'm expecting big numbers, and again, next week is going to be as miserable as this world is, and it's pretty goddamn miserable, to be honest with you. We have at least next week to look forward to. And my God, it is going to be a good week. So, Joe, thank you for being here. Next up, you know him as a content creator that I think has really caught the eye and, more importantly, the ear of many gamers. His channel has exploded well past 2,000 subscribers in a very short time, and I'm expecting him to potentially double that by year's end. Please welcome, all the way from Germany, Boxer Bear, known as AKA Archimedes. What's up, dude?
What is up? Thank you so much for having me on the show. Yeah, the channel is really growing in a fast rate. I'm still surprised about it, but I'm so grateful. I don't know about doubling the number till the end of the year, but we will see. And yeah, the next gen excitement is in the air. I'm so looking forward to next week. I got my holidays booked in. I hope I can take the days off work to enjoy the new Xbox. The only thing is Germany is back into lockdown, and I sure hope that it does not affect the delivery of my console.
Oh God, please. No, hopefully not. I don't necessarily think that deliveries are going to be held up. I think things may be a little slower per se.
Exactly, yeah.
Hopefully it doesn't hold up getting you your console, because I'm going, as of right now, and I talked to my GameStop manager yesterday, we are still going there to pick them up. We're going to be let into the store one at a time. There's going to be someone monitoring the 6-foot space between each other, and some places even here in the States are actually having times. I know they're doing that in Canada. The mag said that he had picked, I think, a 10:30 time, and they told him that if you miss it, you miss it. So you got to be there.
We have something similar here in Germany. I know that GameStop also has given you a certain time frame, 15 minutes, a 15-minute window, and then you can pick it up. But I did not know whether that will be possible or not. That's why I pre-ordered online. And yeah, now let's see how the delivery is affected.
Well, hopefully there's not going to be anything too much trouble. And you know what? Let's introduce the last panel member. And again, this is someone that I think people need to not only check out his work, but I think that you need to potentially reach out to him and have a conversation, because not only is he smart, not only is he sharp as a tack, he brings it with his incredible knowledge and passion for gaming. Please welcome the newest member of the Xbox Factor podcast, my very good friend, 3-Bit from the Video Games HD. What's up, dude? How you feeling?
I'm good, man. I always love your intros.
You know who well, listen, obviously the sensei is Lord Cognito, who, of course, I borrowed a lot of his techniques from, learned from listening to him before I was a podcaster, and then took it and ran with it. Now, am I going to suggest that I'm better than the master? I don't know. Cog, if you're listening, you might want to challenge me on that. But listen, welcome to the show, brother.
Thanks, man. Right now, a lot going on in the world. I'm saying I'm waiting for these consoles.
Yes.
And I'm really looking forward to it, and we'll see. It's like next week, right? It's like we're really close.
We are 5 days away from literally this time next week. We will already have our consoles in hand, hooked up to our TVs, and playing. I don't know what I'm going to play first. I literally have so much, and that's one of the things. That's one of the the big things for today's show. We're going to be talking about some games, some smaller games that a lot of people have overlooked that I think are going to make a big impression. But you know what? Before we get into the topics, obviously the contest has come and gone. Mrs. Boomstick, my brother Neo Mental, and I, we have officially doled out $1,900 in prizes. And I have already started sending out those prize codes, especially for the games. We got 4 out of the 10 already mailed out. The controller that who won the controller? That Eder won the PS5 DualSense. That has been shipped out this morning. But I just want to read some of the names just in case, because there's some people I could not find on Twitter. So I want to just throw this out there. Thanaros, if you are in the chat, brother, you are one of the big, game winners. Let me know what $65 code, whether that be for Xbox Live or PSN, that you want. Hit me up in a DM or email me. And this goes for everyone. Please go to the About page on my YouTube channel. It does have my business email. Email me and I will get these codes out to you ASAP. We also have Clutchman01, who won one of these $65 codes. JD Gamer, who I'm already talking to, won one of these codes. Michelle Alexandria, if you're in the chat, reach out to me some way or another. You won one of these codes. And Smitty Smith, who I know is here. Smitty, you got to reach out to me, brother. I got to get you one of these codes. You won a $65 code to your digital platform of choice. And of course, Nano Polymath, who's a good friend of not only this community, but this particular channel, had asked that he won the Xbox Series X controller, and he is donating that to a charitable organization in the UK who I'm already in contact with, and I will be mailing that out to them. So they usually, what they do is they bring these controllers and consoles to children in hospitals. And I thought that was really big of him. And on top of that, my wife and I are going to be making a hearty donation to that organization. So Nano, thank you so much for your generosity. And the two big winners, the big winners, Casket Repair won not only the PlayStation 5 Digital Edition, but he's getting Spider-Man, the Miles Morales Deluxe Edition, and I've already contacted him. He had a funny story yesterday. He was in the doctor's office, and he said that because of what I just told him, his blood pressure was through the roof, and that was hilarious because, of course, he had to have I think he was getting a physical or something, so that's not good for the blood pressure. And Al Hogan, a very good friend of the show, he won the Series X. I have not heard from Al. Al, if you're out there, brother, watch that 6 of yours, because we know what you're doing for a living. And also make sure you reach out to me, brother, so we can get you your details, so I can get this console mailed out to you ASAP. So of course I want to thank everybody for being here. We are well past, we're close to 300 people already here. So let's get into the first topic of the day. Now, look, I'll say this. When thinking about the casual audience and TVs like Samsungs, LGs, Sonys, and many others, devices like the Apple TV, the Roku TV stick, and of course the extremely popular Amazon Fire Stick are easy access to people that are not really into tech. It's cheap, it's inexpensive, you plug it in and you pretty much go. Well, thanks to a story that I pulled from The Verge, Phil Spencer hints at the TV streaming sticks for xCloud that could be the next challenger to the entertainment, to the TV entertainment realm. And I got to be honest with you, if what he is saying comes to fruition, my God, they really have something up their sleeves, and I think that they are looking to corner the market. Because if you look at what they're doing, we know that the most powerful console is the Series X. We don't even need to discuss it any further. It's the most powerful console. That's the end of the story. But that's not the end of the conversation. You see, because if you look at something like the PlayStation 4 this generation, they've sold, and I don't have the official number, so I'm just going to say 115 million. It was 112 for a while. I would imagine they've sold more. So let's just say for shits and giggles, it's 115 million. That's ridiculous when you think about it. How many consoles are out there? But what is not ridiculous is how many casuals own those consoles. And I would say that it's 85%. So if I wanted to be facetious, I would say that again, for shits and giggles, let's just say 85 million of those 115 are the casual market, leaving 30 million to the hardcore. Now, is that the number? Probably not. The hardcore, which is us, which is everybody here already in the chat, we're the hardcore. That we're the loudest, but we're still the minority. The majority of any platform is its casual audience, and I think that if Microsoft does what I think they're going to do and what we're going to discuss here, it is going to be a very interesting generation. And I think that console sales will still be a part of the conversation, but I don't think it's going to be the end all part of the conversation, because with what they're offering with Project xCloud being, allowing players of all sizes, shapes, races, creeds, everything to play their games how they want to play, the door has been exploded open. Now, is it going to be the second coming? Well, we'll talk. I suppose we could revisit this a year later and see if it's taken off. What I can say, without a shadow of a doubt, is the Series S is going to be it's going to be the it factor for Microsoft. It's not the Enigma anymore. The Enigma was when we didn't know if this system actually existed. And when you talk about, and we're going to get into a story with what Phil Spencer had to say about the combination of Xbox Game Pass and a $300 console in this generation that's just starting, considering we're in a COVID world, it's going to be a big difference to a lot of families because of the financial hardships that many people are facing. And obviously, with entertainment, does it really matter if it's 1080p or 1440p versus you not having a console to play next gen? Well, for us, yes, it would be a problem because we're the hardcore. But the average consumer who buys new tech because it's cheap, because it's affordable, because they're getting so much for their dollar, may not go out and buy a PlayStation 5 for $400 and $500, or may even buy a Series X. They may want to drop $300 because they're getting Xbox Game Pass, they're getting EA Play, and they're getting all of these games for $15 a month and a box that looks nice, fits in their cabinet just fine, and it's only $300. So we're gonna get into a little further of where I actually think this is going to go. But here is what Phil Spencer had to say regarding this. And he's, and we're going to get back into the stick. Now, the stick that we're hearing that's coming, and we know it's coming, is supposedly going to be $99, which is about the price you'd expect, because it's going to come with a wireless remote controller. One of the new controllers along with the stick, you plug it into your TV and then you go. That might be even a better option for some people that don't have $300, but still want to take advantage of Xbox Game Pass. And if Microsoft somehow is able to have a price point of $100 for the stick and controller, a $300 box, and then a $500 big boy, that really sets them up to be market leaders in a way that we have never seen before. This could be a scenario unlike anything we've ever seen. And again, it's not going to come to about how many sticks were sold or how many boxes were going to sold. How many people are signed into Game Pass and have taken advantage of these 3 ways to play games? That's the difference. Let me go to Zemi first on this. Zemi, when you hear that Microsoft, or more so Phil Spencer, had this dream, had this plan to make gaming accessible for everyone, taking care of the hardcore with power and speed with the Series X, taking care of the casual audience that are pretty savvy when it comes to games, but don't want to really dive all the way into an Xbox investment at $300, and the extremely casual market who are the aunts and uncles, or the grandmas and grandpas that may want to, well, what is this Xbox thing about? And for $99, if that comes to fruition, it offers something that no one else is doing. Again, we see Amazon doing it, right? We see, because here, get your controller, you're good to go. We see the Stadia. Well, Stadia is, we're not going to talk about Stadia because they're pretty much dead, but they're trying. What are your thoughts on this potential, corner of the marketing when it comes to Microsoft and these different price points?
Well, so I think like any company, if you want to stay on top, if you want to be on top, you have to, continually be innovating, and you have to, take inspiration from other companies that are doing certain things a little bit different than the way that you're doing it. And I think that this is a great example of that. But I think it's also a great example of Xbox offering choice to gain market share in this industry, and the amount of inclusiveness is unprecedented, really. Right now you can buy a console, you can play it, games on your phone, using xCloud, or you could play off of your PC at all very, very different price points. But to now throw this in, being able to stream from your TV, which I don't think is anything that's really all that shocking. I think back whenever I was on Breakfast with Boom, a little bit more than a year ago now, I actually brought this up, how I thought that this was definitely a possibility and where they were going to take xCloud, being able to stream, directly from your TV, because it just makes sense, right? If you can do it from your phone, why not get it on your TV? And so I think it makes a lot of sense for this to be, their next step. Just imagine buying a stick similar to an Amazon Fire Stick, plugging it into the back of your TV, and being able to play, 200 plus games, straight off of Xbox Game Pass, for $10 or $15, a month. That is an absolutely powerful proposition to consumers. It just really is. And, there are still issues that could potentially rise up with it. For instance, connectivity could be a potential issue depending on where you live. Just ask Google Stadia for that. But, combining this with Xbox's current offers, and, we might already see, that their motto is really kind of transformed into no gamer left behind. The level of inclusiveness, I don't think has ever actually really been seen in any console generation before this. Xbox is welcoming, consumers from all different demographics, all different price ranges into their ecosystem, regardless of the amount of money that they, have, or how often, they kind of expect to play games. And I think it's also really important to add into here to not make any mistake that a move like this about, Xbox making this, stick to plug into, the back of your TV is an extremely and hugely strategic move against Stadia and against Luna, who Xbox now considers their main competitor. So I think that that's also a really important, way to view this as well, is that, yes, Xbox is doing this because, of course, there's going to be people that don't have the money or don't want to spend the money on a second console and pick up the $300, the $500 Xbox. They maybe they don't even want to play games off of their, their smartphone, or, they don't have a PC. But this is an amazing opportunity to get even more people into their, and onto their platform. And it directly competes with Stadia and Luna, who so far kind of look like that's really their only avenue of getting into the games industry.
You're absolutely right. And I think you really hit the nail on the head, because listen, no one is going to even suggest, and if you do, you're a boob. I'm going to say this, right? Let me just say this. You're a boob if you think for a second that Sony is all of a sudden not a competitor to Microsoft. Well, of course they are. So is Nintendo. But when you look at what Microsoft is doing and how they're doing it, their quote unquote direct competitor is these big boys, is Apple, right? Is Amazon. And it certainly is Google, because they are going in the realm of a streaming service. See, Sony still staying very traditional. Now, how long that's going to be, I don't know. Nintendo, well, they've been marching to their own drum for years, so that is never going to change. And guess what? A game that launched 3 years ago is still $59. So Nintendo knows what they're doing. I want to bring 3Brit into the conversation 3-bit. I want to read you a snippet from what Phil Spencer had to say regarding the xCloud stick that he's talking about. He says this: I think you're going to see a lower priced hardware as part of our ecosystem when you think about streaming sticks and other things that somebody might want to just plug into their TV and go play via xCloud. You could imagine us having something that we just include in the Xbox Game Pass subscription that gives you the ability to stream xCloud games to your TV and buying the controller separately. Spencer's first public mention of the Xbox streaming TV sticks implies that the hardware could be ready much sooner than anyone thought. Now, Microsoft obviously has already confirmed that xCloud is bundled for free into Xbox Game Pass for that $14.99 a month. I know there's been some talk about them raising the price eventually. Well, listen, folks, this is the world. Whether you know it or not, and you probably don't because I didn't get an email, Netflix just raised their prices again. So how long is Microsoft going to keep it at $15? I don't know, but it's not going to go from 15 to 36. If it goes up, it probably would go up $1, potentially $2, and I don't see that happening anytime soon because Microsoft understands the current financial crisis that the world is in because of COVID, and again, a lot of people are struggling. So 3-bit, when you hear Spencer say this, to me, it's a done deal. It's something that they're going to show. Now, granted, they're going to try and push their consoles, which is probably why we don't have this yet. But I could imagine in early 2021, we're going to see this stick and controller combination come out, and it's going to be the flash on the screen. $99 get you into Xbox and 200 games, and I think it's going to fly off shelves. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think you can't bring in the you can't really talk about the Xbox stick without talking about the casual market, because this is where it really is referring to. It's very easy to get lost and wrapped up in the hardcore market, as us, and I'd argue a majority of the audience here watching the Xbox Factor podcast. They're not super casual. Casual players tend to not keep up with the news. They don't really stay up to date with a lot of announcements, or some casuals do. But from both of these companies, as we do as content creators, right? So casual market tends to own third-party games more than first-party. Casual market really cares about a few things, which is price and also the games like available. So it's very hard to argue that first, that the Xbox doesn't have amazing value this coming generation. If games are going to go up in price, then Xbox really wins in that category because all first-party titles are going to Game Pass for only $15 a month, $1 if you're new. And while it lacks in first-party games right now, as many of the panel will probably agree with, it exceeds a great amount with Game Pass and in EA, the EA service. So Series S is a heavy contender in the casual market, and this stick is a really heavy contender because of its price. So Series S is a great deal for the casual market because a lot of hardcore gamers, also casual gamers, don't own 4K TVs, so it's really good for them there. And they're not going to see that boost in resolution, but for the most part, they'll get the bump in the frame rate comparatively to the Series X. And then I think Phil said somewhere that that the PlayStation would be a heavy investment.
We're actually going to talk about that. Yeah, that's one of the big topics. Yes.
So I'll talk about that later. But yeah, this seems like a really good deal. This is a cool thing.
It is pretty impressive when you look at where Microsoft was via 2013 to where they are now. And I know that it seems like a 20-year mark from where they were to, we got a console for you, it's called the Xbox 360, to what they're doing now. I mean, it's literally apples and oranges, or you can even say grapes and apples. You can really, because they're so far from what they were to where they are now. And what they're looking to do is really the overall value of what Microsoft is looking to do is allow anyone, and I really mean this, anyone that wants to play a game, they're making it accessible to do so. And I don't necessarily just mean in regards to, like, for instance, having the adaptive controller. That, to me, is something that no one really talks enough about. No one gives Microsoft certainly enough credit. That has changed lives. And we have seen videos, countless videos on how people have gone out, developers and their families have gone out of their way to use that controller. There's one particular one, and it was heartbreaking. I love the story. I cried. I'm not even going to lie. About the little girl that played Zelda Breath of the Wild. My God, folks, that's giving me goosebumps just talking about it. And that was done through Microsoft. She's playing a game that she, because of her disability, could not play, and she's playing it, and she's enjoying it. And that big smile that she had on her face, it could light up an entire room. So if that doesn't get you excited, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. You're probably not a human being. You're probably a robot. But
yeah, and also Microsoft, like, I'm sorry, I got very passionate.
Please jump in, Joe. Let's go.
They're just like, hey, and we're losing money on this, but this is worth it. Like, yes. It's awesome. That's literally the coolest thing this generation. Move past all the things. That is the coolest fucking thing.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. You know, Joe, I'm going to go to you next, brother, but let me just catch up with some of these super chats, because there's been quite a few that have come in. I want to thank everybody for the outstanding generosity. And folks, if you don't know, again, after shipping, Mrs. Boomstick, my brother, and I will have spent over $2,000 on November's prizes. Now, again, it's the biggest we've ever done. And if anyone's asking how that's possible, these super chats are how it's possible, because we've been banking them. Because I'm retired. I'm a retired New York City police officer. You guys know that. And there's only one pension coming in. So you got to use your head when it comes to the money. So we've been banking this money to pour back into this community. And obviously the super chats that continue to come in have been incredible. Let me start with the first one of the day, Everborn Saga, who will be joining us on Monday evening's Epic Primetime Gaming, which is the pre-launch special for the Xbox Series X and S. And man, if all of the guests that I have lined up come through, my God, it's going to be one hell of a show. He drops an outstanding $2 super chat and says, shout out to the cameras. What's up, fellas? Yeah, we don't normally do them. I actually kind of like being in front of the camera. It doesn't really bother me. But it's something new for today. We figured we just roll with it. J1405, another generous friend of the show, he drops an outstanding $2 super chat and says 5 days feels like a month. Indeed, it does. Another generous friend of the show who won one of the prizes, Regulator 951, drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, shout out to Boom and Mrs. Boom for being awesome. Well, thank you, sir. We definitely appreciate that. And we have, now he put how to say his name, so thank you for that. It's Lakeith. Lakeith drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, Boom, the voice with the face, not what I imagine. Oh, that one. I hope it's better than what you imagine. He says, great show before work. He says, what do you think of the Sega closing the famous arcade in Japan? It's a sad day. It's a sad day, but, obviously, unfortunately, arcades with COVID, it's just not a thing. It's too enclosed. It's too much risk for, obviously super spreaders and things of that nature. And it's a very sad day in gaming that they are, in fact, because that's obviously was one of the last Mohegans, if you will, in the big arcade scene. Now it's going to, they're putting it to pasture. Now it's going to be like, you'll find them every now and again. You'll find bars that make arcades into bars that are just like a barcade, if you will. And that's probably all we're going to ever have. Vocals Krieg, very good friend of the show, he drops an outstanding $5 super chat. Says Xbox Pope and 2K UK are making one-of-a-kind Series X in a Borderlands 3. Wow, a claptrap theme with control to match. That is dope. He said the contest starts November 9th. That is pretty dope. Smitty, you got to get back to me, brother. Hit me up in the DM or, of course, email me so I can give you your code. He drops an outstanding $10 super chat. Says, hello, everyone, and I would like to welcome the home of the Bit Brothers, 3-Bit, Mr. Bad Bit, and BitCloud Gaming. Salute to the rest of the panel and chat. Yes, indeed. Thank you for that. We also have East Texas Alice. And first of all, I didn't even say he drops an outstanding and the Smitty Smith $10 super chat if I didn't say it. East Texas Alex, a good friend of the show, he drops an outstanding $5 super chat. Says, so my wife went to Walmart to check out the Xbox pre-order, and they told her that online pre-orders will start Saturday. Have a great show, everyone. So, listen, folks, King sent me something earlier that there were some pre-orders that went up today. If you are someone that doesn't have a console yet, keep your eyes and your ears. You know who you got to follow? Wario64 on Twitter. When I tell you that dude, I wish I could give him a hug, because it's because of him that I was able to get an X, because I didn't get one. Of course, I was dejected, and I got one live on the air from the Microsoft Store. He's amazing.
Yeah, same with me.
Yeah, put alerts on for Wario64. That guy is, when I tell you, the most legit dude I've never met him, but he puts him out there. I don't know how he does it. Like, he literally knows when it's going live. Boop, it's right out there, and you click on it, and 9 out of 10 times it works. So if you don't have one, please hit that dude up, follow him on Twitter, and set yourself up for alerts, because again, he is 100% legit.
I have a theory about who he is.
Is he an insider?
I think him and Shinobi
is he a computer?
Yeah, I think Wario's the bot, and I think Shinobi is the owner of Wario 64. Yeah. There you go. Putting it out there. It's a game theory.
That's an excellent theory. We have JT Harris drops a very generous $5 over chat and says, did you hear that Sony confirmed PS5 cannot do native 1440p? That is on a monitor. That's not on a TV. I don't know why that is. I'm sure that is just an adjustment that they're going to be able to do. I would imagine, at least I would hope so. But that, from what I understand, is only on a monitor, not on your TV. So you're going to get what you would expect for a next gen console on your 4K TV. So if you have like, one of the big, the big boy TVs, you're going to get Spider-Man Miles Morales in glorious, whatever it's going to play in, which of course, I think it's 4K 60 they confirmed. So that's fantastic. Frank White drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, my son is 12 and only plays Fortnite and Apex Legends. That's a lot of kids, dude. He says he plays on the VCR Xbox One without any care and any care in the world. So I pre-ordered the S for him. It's a win. Indeed, that you're going to see a lot of people do that, because he's going to get the better performance. But he's okay with being, because like I said, if he's okay with what he's using now, an S is going to be a massive upgrade for him. I cannot wait to see how that pans out. Smitty Smith drops another outstanding $5 super chat. I will message you on Xbox Live, Boom, for the code. Yes, perfect, dude. I will definitely give you the code over Xbox Live. Is Al Hogan. Yes, Al, finally we heard from you. This is a great story. Not only does he drop an outstanding and overly generous $20 super chat, he says, Shiznit, I almost wrecked my patrol car. Did you say I won a Series X? Yes, indeed, you did, brother. And as soon as I get that from the Microsoft Store, I will be mailing it out. Hit me up either on a DM, email, or on Xbox Live, and I will get your shipping address, and we will get that out to you. I am going to try and do either overnight or 2-day to get you that ASAP. Kay Asante, very generous friend of the show, he drops an outstanding $5 super chat. Shout out to the panel and Mr. Boomstick. We're so close. I just got my confirmation emails for both next generation consoles. Super exciting. And then you know what? I'm going to just stop it because there's been a lot of super chats, and I honestly cannot thank you enough. But I want to continue the show. So Joe, listen.
Yeah.
Microsoft is doing. Look, you and I are both on the same page, obviously, because we are. We've talked about this. Yeah. Microsoft, Sony, they're going down the same path, but one is going to go to the right. One's going to go to the left. And guess what? They're both going to be okay. There's no doubt about it. But Microsoft is doing some things that have never been done before.
Yep.
They got the power crown, and they're okay with that. And we're okay with that. But then they figured out a way to have the power for the hardcore, which is us, right? And the games are going to come, folks. Yeah, Halo not here. It's upsetting, sure, but we're going to be okay. Then they released the S. It's $300, and it has all the bells and whistles. Again, the memory a little short. We know that the GPU isn't as stout as the $500 big brother. We're okay with that. But then we're talking about this stick. And a lot of the new TVs are going to come with the apps built in, especially the Samsungs, because they've partnered with them. But $100 controller memory stick, kind of a combination, is going to open up a lot of people. And this is what's interesting, Joe. They may start out as an Xbox $100 gamer, but they're like, wow, this is an amazing thing. I want to see what the big... And they could eventually gradually go up and even get an X. Is this a gateway to creating new Xbox players?
I think it's a gateway for many things. One of them being, I mean, first off, this is true, right? But I also think when we were talking about what the Series S was going to be, I remember one of the first thoughts was like, oh, this is like a dongle you put in the back of your TV? Oh, is this like a little hockey puck, like an Apple TV? Like, what is this? That's what kind of people were assuming out of the Series S in the beginning. The very inception over a year plus ago. Now, that said, taking a look at like what this little dongle, whatever it is, I'm going to make a blind theory, going to throw a dart with a blindfold on, see where it lands. But I'm thinking this is the Apple TV route that Microsoft kind of wants to go towards more than a dongle. So like Apple TVs themselves usually run, I think, around 130, 150. And I think that's where you would probably want to position yourself as well if you're Xbox with a controller included, because Google Stadia, I think, is around the same thing. If you have the whatever they call it, the Google Fire Stick and the controller, it's about 120, 130. So around there, I definitely think it's going to have more of a puck form factor than a straight to disk or straight to USB thing. Just because I'm thinking of options. Microsoft wants to still give you options. So I think this would give you the option as a gamer to put an Ethernet port in the back so you get the best internet possible, because this is something that's streaming after all, right? Or it could be more dedicated to, hey, this is just Game Pass. Like nothing else, like nothing, whatever. Maybe it'll remote play from your Xbox, but this is just strictly Game Pass, strictly like, let's just say 1080p, strictly like 30 FPS. This is like the bare bones getting you in a door somewhere, right? Or 1080p, like 60, whatever the case may be. Whenever this thing, if it comes out, that's what I'm kind of thinking is this is the bare of bare bones just to get you into the ecosystem, just to get you to have a taste. But then it also opens up the avenue for, okay, this thing can't just be a $100 or $150 piece of tech that only does one thing, right? Because I wouldn't buy that. Most people wouldn't buy that. I think this gives Microsoft a great avenue to go, hey, this is the one stick that if you want to have your Netflix, your Hulu, your Disney Plus, your all these other entertainment options, make it their own type of Apple, TV ecosystem like they have it. Being able to buy movies from there, stream movies from there. I think having that entertainment box that Microsoft was talking about with the One and actually coming to fruition with whatever this puck style thing would be is an awesome thing. And I think what you were saying is correct. I think we got to back off the PlayStation versus Xbox thing. They're competing, but they're not. Like they're competing in the hardware space of like console to console. But really, this is a Fast and the Furious 7 type of situation. Well, one person's going left, one person's going right. We got the song playing, and then we're just going our different paths. Microsoft's playing a really they're just playing a different game, right? Yeah. Like the whole chess checkers analogy rings true here. One guy's playing chess, the other guy's playing checkers. Whichever is going to pan out, probably the checkers guy, Xbox, in terms of like where the beginning of streaming will be. I mean, we see it with Luna, the $5 a month option, which I think is a great option. Yeah. We even see it with Nintendo. you could play Control. That's crazy.
Through the cloud.
Streaming.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah.
Yeah. And I really do wonder how that works on the Lite, because that wireless card sucks. But nonetheless, you're seeing companies at least dip their toes into it. So I could definitely see, Microsoft very much push this. This is the future of their brand after all. I could definitely see Sony, just like they're doing now, just dipping their toes into it, going, hey, we have this service. It's PlayStation now. It's nowhere near as good as Game Pass, but it's an option for the PlayStation.
But it could
gamer.
be. It could be. It absolutely could be. And again, we're gonna see a change in ideology.
Yep.
I believe for Sony coming much sooner than even Jim Ryan will be admitting, because what's going to happen is he's going to start seeing.
Are you
the
telling me
numbers.
Jim Ryan's a liar?
Well, I mean, yeah, I guess people could say that. We're not going to say that on this show, this particular one, but I think that we
casting, not lying. Is what I've heard.
Slow-mo. I'm gonna unbox this, by the way.
Nice, dude. Excellent. So you know what? Let's get Archimedes in. And first of all, let's welcome in Slow-mo Backslap. Slow-mo, thanks so much for hanging out with us, dude. I know normally you make your way over to Breakfast with Boom, but today we figured we had an extra spot, and I figured let me throw the invite. You're a gamer, so you would appreciate some of the topics we're going to talk about. Welcome to the show, bro.
Hey, hey, what's up, Boom? What's up, panel? Hey, this is actually, I think, my first time on Xbox Factor podcast.
It certainly is, yes.
So, here to pop my cherry, have a little fun here, So you guys discussing a couple of things, and I see Bab is over there, bragging about his PlayStation accessories once again. With you unboxing this time, sir?
Is that the charger?
It's the charger.
Yes, mine is on the way from
a sticker on it. Look at this. Target, what are you doing?
Yeah, mine's on the way also. I'm mad. Don't ruin the box art. But Slow-mo, thanks so much.
Got my yesterday. I got the Pulse 3D headset.
Oh, dude, I'm still waiting for mine. I'm so pissed. I'm glad you were able to find it.
Works seamlessly with the PlayStation 4 too.
Oh, that's
good
good
to
know.
In Germany, I tried to get
plug in the dongle and turn it on. Immediately connected, no problems. I played a couple games just to see what it was like. Sounds it's great. It's extremely light. Definitely, I think something that I'll be using a lot going forward. I have for my PC, I have a Lucid Sound LS35X, which is amazing. It works with Xbox and PC. So I'm not quite sure yet. I'm going to replace that with this one, but it's that Pulse 3D is pretty awesome already.
Yeah, no,
I'm on my channel, by the way.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to getting my hands on it for sure. My GameStop manager assures me that he's going to be able to get me one, so I'm not worried about it. I got every other accessory for that. For some reason, I missed out on the pre-order for that, and every time that it's gone live, I've missed it. But I'm like, okay, you know what's fun?
I need to get a GameStop guy. I do a podcast with a GameStop guy, but he's half a country away.
Yeah, he is a bit of a
local guy. I need to bribe him with something. I don't know, I gotta figure something out here because I need a guy to be able to hold stuff for me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But we're going to come to you in a second. Let's get Archimedes' opinion on this. Now, Archimedes, you've heard what everyone has said so far. And obviously, I didn't expect this topic to run almost an hour, but it's worthy of a conversation because of Microsoft's plans for the future of the brand. It's not just the hardware. Of course, the hardware is at the core of what is going to drive Xbox. But when you see that Phil and that team making moves that not only are going to offer a $300 box for the casuals that are into games, the $100 proposition, potentially $100. I'm saying it's $100. I could be 100% wrong. Joe could be right. It could be $150. But I think the sweet spot for the unknowing casual, the person that doesn't understand what an Xbox or a PlayStation is, or doesn't even have one currently, but they do understand streaming services. That's become the a general conversation, even for the normies, if you will. And if you tell someone, even a normie, that you can play over 300 games and it's $15 a month, and you buy this package for $100, $100 price point for a controller and a stick will fly off shelves. I think that people who have a Series X already potentially could double dip and get this as well. What are your thoughts on this?
The idea of a streaming stick is super interesting, and the potential is definitely there. I think there are a couple of questions about the price point. That's the first one. I don't think $100 would fly off the shelf. It would stay there. It has to be significantly cheaper. I'm talking $20-$30. That's it, no more, because you have to bring the casual in via the low entry barrier. $100 is already a barrier. You think twice about that price point.
But with a controller, though.
Yeah, I don't think you should sell it with a controller. You just sell Amazon the Fire TV stick isn't sold with a controller.
No,
Yeah?
it's not. You're right.
So it is. If someone is serious about that, they will invest in that. But I think that streaming stick, the idea for that is to have really the entry barrier as low as possible. But that's all hypothetical, because the question really is, when do they bring out the app for the smart TVs? More and more TVs in the homes of the casual gamers are smart TVs, and I think that is actually the way to go. The streaming stick has a lot of potential. I mean, Amazon Fire TV stick is successful, but the sales are going down as well, because again, more and more smart TVs are in the homes. There are some applications. When I heard that rumor about that streaming stick, my first application was actually for me when I'm traveling. Before the COVID situation, I traveled a lot. I spent about 1 or 2 nights a week in a hotel.
Wow.
For that, it would have been absolutely fantastic. But the thing really is, these Chrome sticks, these Fire TV sticks, they were for those moments when we all had HD TVs in our homes, but no smart functions in there. And this is changing. So I think the way to go is with a smart TV app here to really pull in the casual gamer. But nevertheless, the idea is very interesting. Bringing or let me start over again. The idea is interesting because Microsoft's strategy is to expand the gaming market. This is really the difference in between Sony and Microsoft right now. Microsoft is looking at this whole gaming market in the console business and the PC business as more or less saturated, because we have those, I don't know, 150 console gamers, 150 million console gamers out there right now, and is that market really growing? Not really. Maybe over the next generation we will get 160 million, but that's not a growth. They are looking at the numbers in the mobile business, where you have 2 billion gamers playing games. I mean, basically everyone who has a smartphone has a game installed, and they are really aiming for that market. So for them, it is to have as many options as possible at the lowest entry barrier is really what they are going for. And so I think we will sooner see these smart TVs apps, maybe first on Samsung TVs, but then they will expand that to every device that has a screen, maybe your refrigerator, your washing machine, or whatever. That's really the way to go.
Yeah, and I agree. I like I said, I'm very interested to see how far Microsoft can take this, because again, I think what they're looking to do is to get you to be into the ecosystem no matter what. And I really think that they may not admit this, they may not say this publicly. They eventually want you to buy an Xbox Series X. I think that's what they want you to do. And I know that they want the entry, get you in, get you, adapted to paying $15 a month. I get it. I absolutely get it. But if you are a gamer, or you become a gamer from jumping in through an app on a TV, or through a Fire Stick kind of a deal, or even the entry price point of $300 through the S, they're going to want you to eventually get the big console. And, like I said, I think that having all of these options, and again, we always say this all the time, options are good, options are great, is going to create new Xbox gamers. What I think it's going to do even more so than that is bring people back. We lost, and I say we, Team Xbox lost millions and millions and millions of players that were on the Xbox 360 that went to the PlayStation 4 for two reasons: price and power. They had those in spades, and marketing. Key marketing. This is how you share games. 1080p makes you a better gamer. You know, listen, and not taking away from their first party dominance, but they didn't have that in the first 3 years of the PlayStation 4. They had a couple, but they didn't have what they have now. So they took all of these players that went over to PlayStation that were originally PlayStation gamers, went to Xbox because they were offering a bigger, better deal through the 360, and went back to PlayStation. There's a chance with everything that Microsoft is doing to not so much steal them away from the PlayStation brand, but have them be dual console homes. That is something I've been pushing for the entire 2020 campaign. If you heard me talk about it, I think that this new generation is going to be a generation where more dual consoles, besides an Xbox and a Switch and a PlayStation and a Switch, I think you're going to see more Xbox, PlayStation combinations than ever before, because one is offering amazing first-party experiences and graphical, incredible adventures. And on Microsoft's side, we're going to get those games. They're coming, but you also have the value in what you're getting. And again, price, especially nowadays with the way COVID is and how people are financially capped, price is going to play a big part. People don't want to admit that, but that is the truth. Price is going to be a big difference maker in this upcoming generation. But Slow-Mo, before I come to you, brother, let me catch up on some of these super chats. First of all, Eagles fan 76 drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, "Boom, you and Mrs. are dropping LBs, I see." Indeed. He said, Reggie Mobile 9 drops a very generous, wow, dude, $10 super chat and says, "A shout out to the team. Boom, Zemi, Bad Bit, 3-Bit, and Archimedes. Appreciate the show." And yes, thank you, sir. Definitely appreciate your generosity. Kirby Louise, who was a guest on Tuesday's show, thanks for being here. And it's actually Kirby Zero Louise. Let me make sure I get that right. He drops an outstanding $5, which says, "Don't forget that Sega will be able to offer the arcade games with their new Fog Gaming Cloud gaming service. Not all hope is lost." Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. That's right. Maybe we can get new arcade games through this. Hopefully they can offer that. I know it's starting out in Japan. I hope that comes here somehow. I'm not sure how they're going to do it. But Dan the Man Cunningham drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "Doing some EMR training at work, Boom, but had to stop in and say hello to you and the crew. Keep it up. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas." Indeed it is. And this is a great super chat. This is from my I'm obviously retired. My partner in the NYPD, and this is her son, who I consider to be my nephew. He drops an outstanding $5 super chat, and he says, "This is from Daniel, and your show is awesome. Miss you, man." Yeah, I miss you too, Daniel. I love this kid like he's my own son. I say he's my nephew, but he could be my own son because he's literally is a copy of me. Somehow, I don't know how that worked out. But thank Daniel. It's great to have you here, brother. And hopefully you and the family are staying safe. And we will be definitely talking soon. Eric B drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "Loving everything you and Mrs. Boom are doing for this community. Thanks for being so positive in a time of negativity. Also, great panel." Well, thank you for the compliment, brother. And it is our pleasure to give back to this community that has been so generous for us. It's literally the least that we can do. And being positive, man, it's easy for me because that's who I am. What you see is what you get. There's no, under the cover shenanigans here. This is Boom in real life. This is what you get. So thank you for the compliment, brother. But also, Eric, thank you so much for the generosity. We also have, okay, I'm gonna mess this up. It says look, it says Bosnia 09 drops a very generous. I'm not even sure, to be honest with you.
That was just a chat that he popped.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. So it's Bosnia 09 says PS5 can't do 1440p on a TV either. Boom, a game may be running native 14. Look, I'm going to be honest with you. I have to investigate it. I just find it so hard to believe that it can't actually do the regular graphics more than 1440p.
You only hear it's on monitors. I have not. Yeah, I don't.
So maybe I jump in. and
There's
hear it.
been
Well,
so little
I mean,
information.
are there
Okay,
really any TVs that have
No, there are not.
1440p?
A
Because
TV,
isn't it
a
just
TV
like
can
4K
only
or 1080?
Yeah, a TV can only get either a 1080 or a 4K signal. That's it. So it doesn't matter at which resolution the console is rendering. It always scales up or down towards the out or the requested resolution. Meaning either it scales up to 4K or down to 1080p. There are really no TVs that have a resolution in between that. If you hook up your console to a monitor might support, for instance, a 1440p resolution. Then the console can actually give a 1440p signal to the monitor, and that is what the PlayStation is not supporting. So what happens if you hook up a PlayStation to a 1440p monitor? It will be scaled down because it cannot scale up. Yeah, it always has to scale down. It will put out the signal then at 1080p on the respective monitor, and that is what this is.
I mean, there's several TVs that do 1440p, but it's not common though.
Really?
Yeah,
I have
it's not,
never seen a TV that does 1440.
Well, yeah, there are TVs that will do it. And if like we see a lot in gaming, there's dynamic 4K, and so you like when you typically see that means that it's hitting 4K sometimes, but not all the time. And as 3-Bit said, yeah, there's like I have a 1440p monitor in my computer setup right now. I got a 1440p and a 1080p that I use as kind of like my side monitor that where I don't game on, but I game on the 1440p one. It's really just about the actual consoles supporting that, and not really with the display. I think it shouldn't be a problem if the hardware supported it. Now, what I haven't looked into it. I did hear that the PlayStation 5 wasn't supposed to be supporting 1440p or something like that. I don't know any details in regards to that, so I'm not going to speak on it like why that's the case or like in any detail of what's going on with that. But I mean, honestly, I think it's not that big a deal when the PlayStation 5 is supposed to be, pushing forward far beyond 1080p and going towards 4K anyway. So I don't think it's a huge deal, but it is what it is.
We'll all look
it's only
into
a deal
it.
if you hook up your console to a monitor. Then it might be an issue, but I guess most of the consoles will be hooked to
TV. I would imagine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, real quick,
Archimedes is so smart.
Yeah,
shut up, Archimedes.
Well, I mean, we know what he does for a living, so obviously, he is definitely the smartest guy in the room. Slow-mo, before I get to you, let me just catch up. Let me just catch up on a few of these super chats, and we'll get your opinion on this. We have Game Over drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, "I would do a stream stick for vacay." Yeah, a lot of people would. That definitely just pop that stick in your back pocket with your controller, and you're good to go. Lazy Couch Gamer drops a very generous $5 super chat. Love the name. He says, apparently Sony tries to work out a deal with Google for Kraken to use their SSD as RAM. For me, that sounds like BS, but I'm not an expert. Yeah, I actually didn't see that story. Hank Dank drops a very generous $5 super chat and he says, shout out to Boom and the panel. Thanks again, Boom. Well, thank you, brother. And last but not least, who just came in, Axel1324 drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, when the Xbox treat console, when will Xbox treat console gamers like we matter? AAA games are on PC for 6 months before console, and all of the other games are for other consoles. I don't really agree with that. I think that Microsoft is doing their due diligence to get us AAA games, and unfortunately, those are coming. We just have to wait. And
is he referencing Gears of War?
Yeah,
no, he's referencing Gears Tactics, I
and
think.
probably Flight Simulator. Yep.
Yeah.
Real talk question: would you have actually played that on console if it released that? Like more people? Do you think more people would have played that in May when it released or April, or do you think more people would actually get to experience it on the best hardware possible?
That's what I would do. I would have waited, especially for Flight Sim, and I definitely would have waited for Gears Tactics because I want to see Gears Tactics running in the best resolution possible. But Slow-mo, to close out this topic that kind of exploded on the scene with I didn't expect it to be this big, but for you, what Microsoft is doing with the potential release of a Fire Stick like device with a controller, Do you agree with or disagree that $100 would be flying off the shelves? So do you think it needs to be cheaper? Because I was looking at the prices, and a Fire Stick Pro is $50. And that comes with just a remote control that's the size of the stick. If you look at like even Roku Premium, it's $40. But obviously we know that an Xbox controller is $65. And when you factor in a $30 stick, that seems to be about $100. I think that might fly off the shelf if you are someone who doesn't already have an Xbox controller, because you don't have to buy one. Now, if you are someone that already supports the Xbox brand and you want the stick separately, I would imagine they could potentially sell that separately.
It would depend on, I would say it would depend on what you're going to use it for, would determine how much you're willing to put down for it. Now, me personally, I'll take myself, because I can't really speak for how other people would use this, but for myself, I would definitely want to use something like this if I went on vacation. Like, for example, earlier this year, I went to a beach house, no, not bragging over here or anything, but yeah, I went to on vacation to a beach house with family. And I brought my Switch with me, but I would have much rather preferred to bring something that would have been able to playing more games that I would have been interested in.
Like Destiny, for instance.
Oh, not really. But I mean, if I could have brought like some kind of like streaming stick to be able to do that, and they had like the house had HD TVs all over the place, to be able to just plug that into one and just kind of game while the kids are not in my hair at that moment would have been pretty cool. But if I'm only using that in certain circumstances, I don't really feel like $100 for that is really worth it. Now, 50 would be better, but then I think about like my current Fire Stick that I have on one of my TVs, and it's a piece of crap. It's terrible. I spent like 40 bucks for it. So it's like I deal with it, but it's because I spent $30 on it and I know it's a piece of crap and I didn't spend that much for it. Once you start, the price starts to increase, the expectation of quality also increases, which also goes into how well the game's going to play. When you have that streaming stick, like, what's the setup? How much power is it going to need? Is it really going to be a good experience? Because the latency is really, really high. I'm not even going to bother. I don't want to touch it. I don't want to use it. And I'm definitely going to feel like if I spent $100 on something where the latency is trash,
right,
I didn't get my money's worth. So it really comes down to a lot of those factors. Now, I think them doing something like this really isn't targeted for our kind of demographic. This is something that you would kind of want to target towards, I think, casual gamers, where they may be interested in Game Pass, but they're not really interested in spending even $300 for an Xbox Series S. They're just like, nah, I don't care that much. Well, then, hey, look, here's a streaming stick where you can play some of the games that you may seem to be interested in, or have something for your kids to do and get out of your hair when you're busy cleaning the house, cooking dinner, working from home like I am, so on and so forth. And then that is something that would be a better value. But again, that still comes down to how good is the latency, how good is the quality. I know currently with xCloud they do 720p resolution. That's fine for a phone where the screen's much smaller. You don't really see all the details, and it doesn't really matter to you at that point. But if you're plugging that into a TV, you're gonna want much better resolution, and I think that's where them acquiring ZeniMax really comes into play more than just the games, because ZeniMax has Orion tech.
Yes.
And they showed off Orion, I think 2 years ago. Orion is
very impressive tech, dude.
Yeah, I mean, they've only demoed it with Doom 2016, but it's essentially middleware that allows essentially for a streaming platform to do 4K resolution, 60 frames per second. And I mean, that would be, I thought when the acquisition happened, that was one of the first things that popped in my mind. I'm like, this isn't just about games. This is about everything that Bethesda's been doing as far as the back, half of things in development. It benefits them in so many different ways. So I would expect if they come out with something like this, that Orion is already in full effect.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And I think that is that again, when Microsoft makes these purchases, like for instance, I would love to see them buy Crytek for the Cry engine. I think that Cry engine, if you look at something like, we talked yesterday about, not yesterday on, I think it was Tuesday's show about the potential Rise Son of Rome 2 coming out. And that's very exciting because I freaking loved Rise. I know people are like, well, too much QTEs. You know what? They could fix it. They could fix it. They can hear the complaints. But getting to the Cry engine, if Microsoft was the proprietary owner of that, my God, that could add so much. So I see your point about Orion. Listen, they know what they're doing. They're building for the future, and I'm very excited. But I want to move on to again. I didn't realize this was going to be an hour topic, but that's okay. That's okay. You're here for the casual talk, and here we are. We're having a good banter. I want to talk about this Phil Spencer interview because he had some things to say that were very interesting, and it definitely paints a picture of where Microsoft wants to be in the next generation. And I don't think we're going to be talking about as console sales as much as we did in this generation. I think that is really good. It's going to be a part of the conversation, like I said earlier. I just don't think it's going to be the focal point of the conversation. Now, Phil talks about the $300 Xbox Series X, Xbox Game Pass, and how $70 games will affect many gamers financially. And I'll say this: I've been calling the Series X the Trojan horse for months. I think it is the Trojan horse for this generation. And again, if it goes according to how Microsoft believes it's going to go, it could potentially win them the generation because of the fact that they're going to get more Xbox players into their ecosystem. And that means more people paying for Game Pass. And that means more money and more investment in potential, new studios that they're going to be buying. So it's a big machine that's churning. And I think we are going to be in for a treat, especially if you are an Xbox fan. And in an interview with the Spanish outlet, I think it's Vanguardia. And I know I sound terrible when I said that, but I don't have the roll of the tongue for it. Spencer explained that that Microsoft was being extremely price conscious when they were developing the Microsoft next generation strategy, hence the Series S, and went on to point out that certain platforms, and he didn't say specifically the PlayStation, but you kind of knew what he was definitely talking about the PlayStation 5 and clearly referencing Sony, could prove to be a heavy investment for casual gamers and families. And this is what Phil had to say. A couple of really important quotes here. He says, when we thought about doing the Xbox Series X and the Series S, we thought about markets where price might be an important consideration for families and, of course, the value of Xbox Game Pass and what that brings. Gaming can be an expensive hobby. I see certain platforms going to, in the U.S. pricing, $70 for games. The consoles are $500 in the U.S. pricing, and I think that's a heavy investment for people.
I wish $70 for a game.
Well,
I wish for that.
We'll get to you in a second. Well, actually, I'm going to call on you first because of what you have to say. He says, and I think that's a heavy investment for people who aren't every day playing video games, kind of the more casual player or a family that's balancing many things. Now, I'll say this: when you talk about the hardcore audience, like I said, for some reason, when you talk to the hardcore, we think, and I've been guilty of this, that because we're the loudest, because we're the most hardcore, that our voices are the most prominent and the ones that these companies hear. And I'm here to tell you, we're all wrong. That is not, in fact, the case. Because as much as we drive the brand, as much as we as gamers point our casual friends in the direction of, hey, did you see Spider-Man Miles Morales? My God, that game looks incredible. Or did you see the trailer for Fable? Fable's coming back. It looks crazy. Whatever, pick a game and just sell it to your friend. We drive those sales. But at the end of the day, when you look at the casual market versus the hardcore market, they have us beat tenfold. And that's what Microsoft is banking on. So Archimedes, when you hear this interview with Phil Spencer, and he specifically says that in this country, $70 games and $500 consoles are a heavy investment for not, what did he say? Families. Because Microsoft is looking towards the casual market that puts their family first. Most importantly, of course. What are your thoughts on this? Is he on to something here?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, first I want to explain a bit why I wish for $70 because we already are or were at $70 this whole generation, 70 euros, which is something like 82 bucks in the US, and now at least on the PlayStation side we are up to 80 euros, which is 93 US dollars. We are plus minus a bit depending on exchange rate, yeah. So, but 93 US dollars for a game is a heavy investment. It is really something.
That's not even a special edition game. That's just a
no. It's
game.
Base version. Yeah, I'm not talking about special, super golden, whatever editions. Yeah, that is a heavy investment, and 500 euros. We also pay 500 euros for the consoles, PlayStation 5 and Xbox One, Xbox Series X. That is something like, I don't know, 650 US dollars, something in that area. So yeah, gaming is an investment. And if you have a family, if you have to pay mortgage or feed your kids, of course, this is something you have to consider. It's not a cheap hobby anymore, and that is what I have been saying for a while now, that it is really a interesting thing what Microsoft is doing, that they are trying to make gaming as cheap as possible and the entry barrier, like I said earlier, as low as possible. And that's where the Series S comes in. Of course, the Series S is a Trojan horse. It's fantastic for the casual gamers. The casual gamers, they don't really know what 4K resolution is. Yeah, they don't pay attention to that. They pay attention to, oh man, I want to play the next FIFA.
I missed
but I have $500 for a PlayStation or an Xbox Series X. That's just too much. 300 is the price to go. If I play only a few games there, and then of course that bundled with Game Pass, where you suddenly only pay, there's something like Netflix, and I can quit every month, so I can just pay $15 now. I don't have to pay 70, 80 euros anymore. For a game.
Yeah,
that's really a Trojan horse. And the console won't stay at 300. I mean, we all know that the prices will drop after a year, 1.5 years. The prices will drop. And
could you imagine that console for $250? That would be insane.
Exactly. And that is where that console will pick up, because right now at launch, the Xbox Series X is the console that will sell, because who pre-orders consoles? It's the hardcores. It's us, the casual gamer. He doesn't pre-order a console. Yeah, and in the first 6 months, it will be difficult to get a console at all, PlayStation and Xbox. And of course, the Xbox Series X are the consoles that will be bought in the beginning of the generation, and then the casuals start to come in and buy these consoles, and then the sales will increase, and by then the prices of the consoles will already start to drop. So you see where I'm going with that. I do have one good friend here. He really played a lot of games in his youth, but then stopped playing video games for, I don't know, 10, 15 years. And he recently asked me, so I want to get back and play some games. In lockdown, I'm so bored. What do you recommend? And then he picked up for $99 an Xbox One all digital, and that was his. And I said, okay. And then you for one euro, you can try out 1 month of Game Pass. Just see if you like it. And he was so blown away by what Game Pass has to offer, actually. Because he wasn't used to that in the video game space, that gaming can be as cheap as that. Yeah. So yeah, he now pre-ordered also an Xbox Series X and continues to be a subscriber. And I think this is really the way to go. You lure the casuals in with Game Pass and this value, and then you just sell the consoles, because then you hook them and you don't want to make them leave. Yeah. So yes, that is the Trojan horse. Definitely.
Yeah, I agree. Zemi Games, let's get you in your conversation. Let's get you into the conversation here. But before I do, I just have to catch up on a few of the super chats. With Lazy Couch Gamer, I apologize. I missed one of your super chats. He drops an outstanding additional $5 super chat and says, in Germany, he says, I'm German too. Recently, I found one of my packages in the yard, so I redirected my Series X to my parents. If my Series X gets lost, I'm out for blood.
Indeed, I can relate.
Yeah, you definitely don't want that being thrown around like it's a soccer ball for sure. Good call on that. Nightwolf 3186, very generous friend of the show. He drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, have a good show, Boom. Great to see you guys. Can't wait for Series X. Hopefully I can get one. Yeah, dude. Hopefully you can, because I want to see everyone that really wants one of these consoles to get one. We have I think it's Keo Walker drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, The Verge is reporting the PlayStation 5 won't support SSD storage expansion at launch. Yeah, that's a little disappointing, folks. I don't know what the deal is with that. It could be the fact that there's only one place to buy it. I think it's a WD expansion that was, I think it was $230. I saw it as low as under $200. It's over $198. I think Amazon had dropped the price. It went back up. It's just, I think it's $10 difference between the memory stick for Microsoft being at $220, which is yikes. And theirs being,
it's kind of like the equivalent to like how in some games like ray tracing isn't going to be on day one for backwards compatible. I think at this point it's disappointing. I'm not giving excuses, but I do think at this point they're busy actually launching both these consoles, and then hopefully in a year in time we get to see some of those features hit at launch.
Yeah, we're actually going to talk about on tomorrow's Breakfast with Boom. That's one of the stories that we're going to lead off the show with. So tune in for that. But Zemi, let's get your opinion on this. Do you consider the Series S as the Trojan horse, quote unquote, for Microsoft in this next generation? And was it a smart move to have a casual console?
You know, I really don't count it as a Trojan horse, and I'll tell you why. Because a Trojan horse is sneaking into the market. I don't think that Xbox is sneaking in anywhere. I think that they are surrounding the entire city, coming in from all entrances. So I don't think it's a Trojan horse. I just think it's a rather big army standing outside one of the many gates of the city. But as I've said before many times on this show, countless times on this show, and I will say it again right now, price is king. It is the most important thing to the majority of the people that are going to be buying almost any product, right? And consoles are no different. And more so now than we would have thought a year ago with the current world situation and what's going on right now with people unfortunately losing their jobs or just not able to work, right? So I would say, that overall, the value proposition to consumers is extremely strong, for the Xbox platform going into this new generation. The Series X is going to appeal to gamers that want the best and hardcore gamers that have the money to, dish out for these consoles, while the Series X will appeal to more casual gamers, families, and, also the hardcore gamers who just don't have the money to, throw at a Series X right now, but they don't want to be left out for the next generation early on, right? And the very, very smart thing about this is that Xbox isn't just chasing a narrow target market. They are trying to appeal to as wide of a demographic for all of their products as possible, right? They want to get as many people in, regardless of how much money they have, what types of games they like to play, where they traditionally like to play their games. They're trying to get everyone into the Xbox brand as affordably as possible. And value is a huge key point to bringing people, to convincing them to join the Xbox platform. And, I think overall, just with the consoles alone, this is a great start, to this new generation. But once you add in the potential growth of xCloud on mobile devices, and then also the potential growth of xCloud on, actual televisions, with the release of an Xbox Fire Stick like device, I think that the sky just is the limits at that point. Just overall, and we've mentioned this a thousand times on this show, if you are after value for this next generation, Xbox is your man, right? I mean, it just really is with Game Pass, with how these consoles are priced versus the like the power that you're getting with these consoles, and then also just by pure choice, if you want to play on mobile device, PC, wherever you want to play, Xbox is supporting. So overall, I think Xbox is just in a tremendous position right now, offering value to consumers, right? And the Xbox Series X and the Xbox Series S prices is a huge part of that. But to even go even more, just kind of excluding the consoles, adding in the support on mobile devices and PCs and all the other avenues, Game Pass, all the other avenues that Xbox is taking to add value to consumers is just immense. I mean, what other platform is allowing you to play all first party games at no additional cost other than $10-15 a month, right? Nobody, right? Only Xbox. So I and one really interesting point about this is that for me personally, I really do believe that Xbox is reducing the monetary barrier of entry, across the board for their platform. That is ever, more so than what has ever been seen in the gaming industry, right? It is going to cost you the least amount of money to get into the Xbox platform, depending on which version, which entry, point you go with, right? And games are going to be cheaper than ever before, or to be able to play certain games are going to be cheaper than ever before. Which is incredible. I mean, I 5 years ago, if you told me that Xbox was doing this, I would have thought that you were loony.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree, and those are fantastic points. Let's bring in 3-bit. 3-bit, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, like I said, I called the Trojan horse, and I understand that Zemi makes a point. Trojan horse is considered to be sneaky. You're coming in on the back end, and no one knows that you're there, but no one really is giving this console a lot of credit. I mean, even some of the people that have it, they're like, yeah, well, this is not really a console you should get. But they're looking at it for a lot of these reviewers are looking at this console from the mindset of a hardcore. Like, I bought the Series S as well. That's going in the bedroom. Yes, it does a smaller GPU. Yes, it's not going to play Assassin's Creed Valhalla the way that I'm going to play it out here in the living room. But that's fine, because when my wife and I are just chilling and we're just in the room, we can play Tetris Effect. We can play any of these games that don't really require the Series X power to play. Do you think that we could see people like myself who are going to buy multiples of these consoles, more specifically for their kids? Like we saw that one super chat said, do you think that this was a big and more importantly, smart move for Microsoft?
Yeah, I think it's kind of it's different, right? We have what Microsoft has usually been trying to do these past generations, which is kind of just compete with Sony on the market share of, like, here's our exclusives, and then PlayStation, like, here is our exclusives, and then we just battle out that way. This generation, Microsoft is not really doing that. They are trying something completely different by appealing to the PC market and the mobile market, which is substantially more than the console market.
Yeah.
The hardcore market is us, and we're always, we have this sort of mindset, and as well as the gaming media, I would argue that a lot of them are hardcore because they have to review the system. They're very much in the gaming industry. The casual market, they just want really good price. And I think when Phil was referring to, other platforms being a heavy investment, it's just the fact that look, so you have Game Pass, which is an amazing service, but just even the peripherals, I think people are going to look at. If you wanted multiple controllers for you, your friends, and family on the PlayStation 5, you'd have to purchase additional ones, because the PlayStation 4 controllers. That's if you're coming from PlayStation 4, right? You'd have to purchase that, so that's an additional investment. Or if you're overseas, like Archimedes, your games are going up substantially in price. So I wouldn't say the Series S is a what was it, the Trojan horse, but I would say that it's just different. I don't think people are going to expect how much it's going to sell. I think it's going to sell a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, so there's a pricing narrative. It doesn't feel the best having the same price as the Series X, but being weaker. But I don't think the casual market really cares about that stuff. I think they're just going to want to have good price and just be able to, like, oh, we can play EA games, awesome. I don't really care about those games, but the casual market they do. You look at the top 10 games that people play, it's multi-platform games. It is your FIFAs, it is your Maddens, and sometimes those are the games the only games that casual people have. So the fact that Microsoft is like basically saying, hey, you can play those games for Game Pass. For a lot of new people who are getting the Series X, they get the option for the $1 Game Pass thing. We could just have Game Pass for $1. So, I think people are going to look at that and just eventually, start moving over. But we'll see. I think it's really, really cool.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. And obviously, I think that, listen, we it's safe to say that regardless of what console it is, even the Switch, it's going to sell this holiday. That's the reality. It's going to be sold out. What Microsoft has and how many they have is going to make the difference on who, quote unquote, wins, the console sales for the remainder of the year. Joe, I want to go to you next on this, brother. I'm interested to get your opinion on this, because obviously you were originally in on a Series S. And then, of course, you got yourself, thanks to the gentleman. Oh my God, who was it that?
It was either Eagles fan or Smitty Smith, I think, helped me out.
Whoever it was, we give them a big pat on the ass, because you got yourself the Series X from Costco. We can also thank your brother, because he was like, here's the card, go crazy, just don't buy two of them. And you did, and you got it locked up. But hopefully he's not listening and crashing his car. But you got the Series X. Do you think that the Series S is really going to make a difference for Microsoft moving forward in the next generation?
Let me tell you something. If they didn't think it'd make an impact, I don't think it would exist.
Okay.
I think they definitely know that they definitely know what this first year is going to be. So, like, I think when I hear Phil Spencer talk about that, and when I see the launch anticipation, and then I see the units that are being allocated for each retailer, just to give me a brief snapshot, I think it's obvious to see that Series X is going to sell gangbusters for the first month, maybe even year, and Series S kind of be that that secondary. But I do think over time you're going to see the Series S pick up momentum the longer this generation kind of churns out, and it being the top selling system over time. I do think Series S will be the thing that sells more units, that gets into more people's homes. I do think when we're the hardcore audience, we are the very small and a very loud portion of the internet that at the, like, when I say, like, people don't care about power, I'm it's not me saying that I don't want the most powerful console. It's just looking at the facts and the numbers, taking a look at, like, even Phil Spencer would say Xbox One X didn't light the world on fire. It was the S that did that. So most people, the consumers, have shown just through their patterns that yes, it is the more affordable console is going to probably be the one that people turn to.
Yep.
And so I that's what I'm definitely thinking. I'm not I don't know how big of the market it will amass, because it's launching at the same time with the Series X and, like, again, production constraints, but it's gonna be there. It's gonna be a thing that a lot of people own. And when, you know, the one thing that I think we gotta stress in my end of my point, I promise, is that we often have anecdotes of, like, you know, like me, like I talk to my brother, I talk to a few of my buddies that aren't heavy console owners to get their opinion, but it's more anecdotal, right? Like, when I see people go, I know what the console, what the casuals want, we really don't know what we're talking about. We're still in this position that, well, we have all this knowledge, right? We have all this knowledge of games and whatnot. So, like, we're still speaking towards a market, or trying to represent a marketplace that we can't, because of our position. So I definitely think, in terms of the Series S, just looking at the patterns, it is going to sell the mass of console units. I don't know if it's like the Trojan horse. I think the most important thing for Microsoft to do is to sell Game Pass, and I think that's the way they get to sell Game Pass.
Yeah, and I think they're going to sell a lot of it, to be honest with you. Slow-mo, let's get your final opinion on this. I mean, listen, again, I have heard, and I wasn't sure if it was you, we know that a lot of people that have kids that play Xbox, that are playing on slower, older Xbox consoles. And I've seen many people message me through DM and talk about on here in the live chat that they're getting the X for themselves because they're a hardcore gamer, but for their kids, like we saw in that super chat, the Series S is coming in tow for $300. It's going to give their kid an upgrade, and it's the next generation console, and it's only $300. Do you think that this is going to play a major factor for Microsoft in the next generation?
I think in the long run it will. I think the Series S for the casual market is a great deal. For hardcore gamers, not so much, unless you wanted to have it kind of like a secondary thing to put in your office or in like your kid's room or something like that. But for the most part, I think it will probably sell more to casual gamers, and more sold once they start making more. Right now, with the Series S and even with PlayStation and the PlayStation 5 digital, they're selling them pretty much at a loss. You look at the Zen 2 CPU, you look at the SSD, which isn't cheap, and then they're selling it at $300. That's not that's not the manufacturing cost of that. So that's why, to mitigate that, what they're doing is that they're not making as many as they're making for the Series X. How do you mitigate, taking a loss every time someone purchases that unit? You don't make so many that they hurt you so much. But as time goes on, the cost of having AMD create that SoC for you, create the cost of the SSD that's inside of it, it goes down. And as it goes down, now you're able to make more units. And so we'll see like a year from now where maybe the Series S is being manufactured on par with the Series X. But until then, of course, the Series X will sell more into that point. But I do think as they start to push harder on the Series S, you'll see it be marketed more as well, because they'll have more units out there for people to get. And they really want people. There's so many different demographics that could see this as a value. You got your casual gamer. You got your hardcore gamer that would look at an Xbox as a secondary console, like your PlayStation, primarily PlayStation guy that might want to pick up one particular Xbox game, or which is likely going to happen, those exclusive Bethesda games that they can't get on PlayStation no more. They might pick up a Series S just to play that game. But so I do think that's the big value to it. I think what it really comes down to is marketing and Xbox's messaging, because I even see it with Game Pass, where Game Pass is a great value, but then I think the people who would benefit the most from Game Pass, the casual gamer who hasn't played all the games that are in it, a lot of them don't even know that Game Pass exists. I talk to some of my friends sometimes that aren't into gaming like I am, but they play games from time to time, and I'm like, hey, have you ever heard of X game or something? He's just like, oh yeah, I think I know about that one. I'm like, yeah, like we could play that together. It's in Game Pass, and he's like, what's a Game Pass? And I'm just like, what? So it's just the fact that like they really need to push their marketing at like sporting events, major TV shows. When the commercial breaks hit, like that stuff, it needs to be out there so that people understand like this is now your platform. Like it's not just an Xbox or PC, or no, their platform is Game Pass. That is the platform. Regardless of how you interact with Xbox and their games, they want you to be subscribed to Game Pass. So in order to do that, you need to push like those products out there like that. And I think getting something like Series S out there to people is a easy way to get, hey, we want you to get Game Pass. Here's a cheap way to get in and get that too. So it all just comes down to how they're messaging things. And I think messaging has gotten better over the past year, but it still has its hiccups. And I think that they need to definitely work that out.
I think it is going to get better. Definitely, for sure. One of the things that we have not covered really on this program is the launch games, and I have 3 particular launch games that are considered smaller. And again, we have to just make sure that we say this. We're all still devastated about Halo, right? But we're going to get it. We're going to get a good Halo. I honestly don't doubt that. And right now, Sony has a very strong opening, salvo, if you will, with Spider-Man Miles Morales, which I think is going to sell 1-to-1. I think Demon's Souls, as great as it is, it's only the hardcore are buying that game. Let's call spade a spade. And the other game that's like Destiny, I think is going to sell. I don't know how well it's going to sell, but I think those 3 games, they're going to relatively do well. But there are 3 games for the Xbox Series X that one was on the PlayStation VR and in Tetris Effects, which I think is going to be a big deal. I think it's a big deal for Joe. Did I skip you on this, Joe? Okay. For the no, I did get you. Okay, I want to make sure.
You're good.
Okay, so I want to talk about Tetris Effect, but I also want to talk about Bright Memory. Bright Memory is going to. I mean, again, I have some pictures here, folks. I just want to bring up some pictures, and we'll get into what this. Look at this game here. Now, again, a little game made by one person, right? This game is going to do very well.
It's a full team now. It's a full team now. It started out as one person.
Okay. So he is working with a full team. Just take a look at some of these screenshots, folks. The company just posted this. This game looks amazing, man. I mean, it looks good. It is an exclusive. It's going to run fantastic on the Series X. And one other game that I don't have any pictures of. I didn't pull any up, but people have been really, really excited about. At least I am excited about it for sure. Is the Falconeer. Falconeer is another game. Now, these are 3 relatively small games. They're all exclusive. They're all launching on November 10th. And I think that they all have the potential to have a huge impact. Now, granted, again, they are smaller titles, but just because they're smaller, just because they're not, 3As plus, doesn't make them any less relevant. And for me, I'm going to be honest with you, the Falconeer is probably one of the first games I'm going to pop on because it gives me. So I've always been a big flying game kind of a guy. Like I've always enjoyed Panzer Dragon Order or Crimson Dragon or one of the OG ones like Crimson Skies. Crimson Sky is still a game I hope that we get a sequel to. Loved everything about Crimson Sky. So when you see the Falconeer, they're comparing this to like a Sea of Thieves meets Panzer Dragoon. I'm all for that. And from what we've seen, it looks absolutely fantastic. I'm interested to see if anyone is as hyped up for these 3 particular games, and more specifically in the chat. But let me just catch up some of the super chats. First of all, we have Eagles fan 76. He says after dropping a very generous $2 super chat, Verge reported PlayStation 5 won't have external SSD. Yeah, we talked about that. John B. I'm glad that you're here, brother. Besides obviously being generous and dropping a $5 super chat, you won one of the $65 codes, brother. He reached out to me either on Xbox Live, email me, go to the About page of my YouTube channel, get my email address there, or DM me on Twitter, and I will get you the code, digital code of your choice. He says this after dropping $5 super chat: casuals go with the cheapest, where they can play the Maddens, the Call of Duties, the 2Ks. Only 10 or 15% care about exclusive. Lowest price at launch will win, like Sony did last gen. Indeed, I absolutely agree with that. We've had JD Gamer drops a very generous $10 super chat and says, sorry, can't stay. Just wanted to say Boom is the best. Thank you for the things that you do for the community. Oh, dude, thank you so much for the compliment, brother. And DM me with what code you want, and I will get that right out to you. Eagles fan 76 drops on another $2 super chat and says, the unknowns about the PlayStation 5 is a joke. This close. There's a lot of stuff about Sony we don't know, and I don't know why they're holding back. It's very, very suspicious, to say the least. Effing Nuisance drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, Microsoft are trying to give as many options to as many people as they can. Price will dictate where the casuals will play. Price is everything. Indeed, certainly is. Gaming Forte, our very good brother Slow-Mo Backslap. He says this after dropping a $5 super chat. Game Pass is the new exclusive for Xbox. First party games, day and date, all vaulted EA games starting November 10th. Just hope Slow-Mo can stay awake tonight. So, you know what, Zemi, let's go to you first on this. Again, Bright Memory looks fantastic. The Falconeer, I think, looks stunning. I think it looks absolutely incredible. And we also cannot forget that even though Tetris Effects was a PlayStation VR game, it is releasing on the Xbox Series X. But what's incredible is that its multiplayer is exclusive to the console, and multiplayer online is, again, this is a casual game, but it's also a game that, like, MrBooMStick saw, and she was like, oh my God, I'm definitely playing that day one. What are your thoughts on these three titles?
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead. Excuse me, I just got done eating McDonald's. And by the way, it was really good. But I'm just gonna be honest. You are definitely a lot more excited about these three games than I am. Now, that's not to say that I think these games are bad or I'm never going to play them. The Falconeer, I think it looks cool. I really like the Sea of Thieves graphics. I think some of like the character models, like the narrators, kind of looks like PS1 graphics, which but the gameplay looks really, really cool, and it looks like a really, really interesting game. Bright Memory, out of all the games, is probably what I'm most excited for, because I love, first person shooters. It looks to be a very, very interesting take on it. Graphics look incredible. And it's I believe Bright Memory Infinite is dropping in January.
Yes.
Which I don't know anything else that's really coming out then that I personally want to play. So that is a great release window to get me into the door. Tetris, I'm not really too excited about it. I mean, it's Tetris, right? But I do appreciate how there are a lot of people that are excited for the game. I think it's really, really cool how they are how they're not separating player base. People that are on Xbox One can play with people that are on the series consoles, and I think that's amazing that they're not separating the community and they're letting everyone kind of play together. But for me personally, Tetris just does not appeal to me as a game.
Okay, that's understandable. I mean, listen, again, these are smaller games. I don't necessarily know how many people are going to have their attention spans pulled from Dirt, from Destiny, from
Assassin's
Valhalla, of course,
Cyberpunk.
from Cyberpunk, Watch Dogs. So I mean, there are a lot of big games that are going to take up our time, but it's these smaller games. Listen, I'm not going to front. I'm playing Bugsnax, folks. Now, how long I play it, I don't know, but I want to try it. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say I don't want to.
I'm super excited for 12 minutes. I cannot wait for 12 minutes.
12 minutes. I was hoping was being expected. Listen, I bought Sackboy. I bought Sackboy. I mean, listen, it's a platformer. I'm an old man. I grew up on platformers. I like that old school stuff. So yes, I'm going to be playing some of the smaller titles, but of course, I will be buying all of the big boys as well. Let's get Archimedes into the conversation. Archimedes, listen, again, these may not ring the alarm for a lot of people in the community. They certainly do for me, because I appreciate the smaller experience while also enjoying the very large ones. Like you and I are running through Watch Dogs Legions, and I am loving it. I know you've been posting pictures. I know you're enjoying it. I think it's fantastic. Does Bright Memory, does the Falconeer, and does Tetris Effects do anything for you as a gamer? Are you excited, or are these games you're going to pass on?
Oh, I'm not going to pass on them. I always find it funny that people think it needs to be a big AAA budget game to be a fun game, a good game. This is sometimes really weird to me. My game of the year so far is probably Ori, I would say. Yeah, and it probably has one of the smallest budgets out there.
The game's gorgeous, and it's getting 120 frame per second upgrade on launch day, which is great.
Yeah, absolutely. And yes, I would have loved to have Halo there as a day one title. Yet, of course, who doesn't? But I think this launch is really about also highlighting some of these smaller AA or indie games. And I mean, it worked very well for the PlayStation 4 as well.
Yes, it did.
Remember, the best game at launch was Resogun.
Yes.
Hands down. And it was the best game probably for the first year or 1.5 years on the console. So, yes, I'm looking forward to that, to these games, especially the Falconeer. That game really stands out. Looks absolutely amazing and just pure fun. I will definitely give Tetris a go, probably more on xCloud. I think since I played, I don't know how many thousands of hours on Tetris on the original Game Boy. This is just a mobile game for me, but I'm really looking forward to it. I'm hearing great things about the game. But there are, and Bright Memory, the Infinite version will come out next year. But Bright Memory, I mean, come on, who can pass on that? I think that game is like $10.
It's $10.
Something.
Yeah, it's $10.
$10. Come on, for that, you gotta give this one a go. There are also games like Call of the Sea.
Call of the Deep.
No,
I think it's Call of the Deep, right?
Call of the Deep was I don't know if that's launching.
If you're talking about the walking simulator, like kind of Sea of Thieves graphics, it's Call of the Sea, I believe.
Yeah, Call of the Sea.
Games like that, and the Artful Escape, also a game I'm really looking forward to. I was also really, one of my most anticipated launch games was actually The Ascent, which unfortunately
I was devastated.
But also, not a big budget game. So I think with Cyberpunk being delayed to December 10th, it really gives us the room to play those smaller experiences, because we all know when Cyberpunk drops, game over for everything else. I'm looking forward to them.
Yeah, I think we're all going to be pleasantly surprised by these smaller titles. Joe, let's go to you, brother. I mean, listen, we know that your heart was broken at the Halo delay, and that's because you're a huge Halo fan, even though you represent PlayStation Nation, and that's pretty cool. But you know what? Archimedes is right. If you remember the PlayStation 4 launch, it had some first party stuff in there that we won't talk about because it really wasn't that good. Resogun was fantastic. Still remains one of the best launch titles, at least for a Sony console, because Resogun was fantastic. That was by Housemarque, of course.
Yep.
And they make just fantastic games. But again, you know, I know that tomorrow we're going to be talking about the reviews that the Xbox Series X and S are getting, and I know that one of the review sites led with their tagline, great console, but what games you're going to play? I mean, I think that's ridiculous, to be honest with you, when you talk about, you know, you got Dirt, you got all of these other third-party games, and you have a lot of these smaller games that are there for you to play because there are games.
And you have big AAA third-party games. I don't know why people never count third-party games into that. We have Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Call of Duty, the biggest games you can wish for, more or less at launch. I don't get that discussion.
No,
I really don't.
Either. Joe, what are your thoughts for these three particular smaller titles?
So I don't really care about the Falconeer. I'm gonna say it. I don't care for it. Honestly, I don't like. Everybody's really excited. I feel like I'm the odd man out. I don't see it. I'm not hyped for it one bit.
Okay.
You're
What
not
I
alone,
am
bro.
hyped for. What's that? What's that, Slomo?
I say you're not alone, bro. I'm not into
That's
fight
right.
games either.
Yeah, let's shower us with hate. But like it also, I'll be honest. Was it the
Right, remember?
Bright Memory? Thank you. I was getting confused with something else. Bright Memory also. I'm like it looks shiny, but like that's all I kind of see. So it leaves the one game that I am hyped for, and that like it really just shower me with the hatred now. I love Tetris Effect so damn much. It is one of my favorite PSVR games. I want that game everywhere so I can literally play it everywhere.
Okay.
The soundtrack's fantastic. The game is Tetris to the core, but like you're controlling the music with the Tetrinos, and that is just so freaking awesome. So you're always getting a different the same song, but like a different beat almost, if that makes sense, or different pace. It is such an incredible game. And now having that online multiplayer element for Xbox here, where like it seems like you're working with and against each other, that's really awesome as well. So like I am actually, for all these games, the most hyped for Tetris Effect, because it is so underrated of how good of a Tetris game that is. And I forget the lead developer, but he's made so many great puzzle games before, and this is just another thing on the mantle that is this man. I can blanking on his name because I'm very bad at Japanese games or Japanese names because I'll just mispronounce and offend everyone. But yeah, that's the game I'm really really excited to get my hands on. You know, I think when it comes to the launch, like we talked a little bit, like Valhalla's, can't talk about it. When it comes to like other like third-party game, like Cyberpunk, that's a game I could talk about. Like that's a game that like people are going to get really excited for, right? Yeah. To play, and you're going to play it wherever. But that's the problem, is like we can play this game wherever. It's not necessarily the thing that is giving me the lean towards one console or the other. And I think Resogun's a great example of that time, because Resogun is an amazing game, but I don't think a single soul bought a PlayStation 4 for Resogun. Resogun was that game that, I have my PlayStation 4. This is a free game, and oh my god, it's really good. Like as much as I love Tetris Effect, I ain't buying an Xbox or Tetris Effect. So yeah, like Microsoft has a small problem with the launch because of the absence of Halo. They really were banking on it. So yeah, I understand that complaint, and to that reviewer, that's valid for them. And I'm not going to criticize them one bit, because that's their complaint. But I do think if you're an Xbox fan, this is going to be the console you're getting because you're an Xbox person. Nothing's going to change your way about that. Like as a PlayStation fan, I'm looking at, Demon's Souls, I'm looking at Spider-Man, I'm looking at Ratchet. I can't wait for those games. I can only get them on PlayStation. So that is a hurdle that Xbox has to jump over. But I don't think it's the biggest hurdle in the world, because games will come out and it will push that system to do really good things and really amazing things. And for what I've already experienced, the Series X is going to enhance the games that you're already playing. So I think the biggest selling point is not any of these games. It is more so at launch with Game Pass, you have a whole library of games just to play at day one.
Yeah, no, and that's a great point. Like I said, I think that if you're going one way or the other, you're going to have a lot to play, and if you're going for getting both consoles, you're not going to know what the hell to play first. That's really what it comes down to. 3-bit. Let's get your opinion on this. Again, smaller games. To obviously, some people care about the Falconeer. I cannot wait. I know that Slomo does, and I know that Mr. Bear, and that's fine. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. Zemi Games was like, yeah, it's just really not my thing, whatever, and that's great. It's great that everyone has different paths. But for you, where do these games hit?
I sometimes don't even realize how much I like Tetris. It's just one of those games you play, then you're like, oh, it was fine. And then you look at the time you've been playing for like 5 hours, saying to yourself, like, where did the time go? Yeah, I think that would be a fun one to play. It's not something I seek out, but I think knowing me, like I'll try it and then I end up like loving it. In terms of like the Falconeer, I'm kind of with the panel. Like I personally love the art style of the game. It seems to be a mix of Star Fox and Breath of the Wild or something like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The Falconeer, it's not a day one title for me. November and December already look to be stacked in content of what I'm gonna be playing. But yeah, I will admit, I personally, I do find myself being surprised on the variety of different genres I actually end up loving to play, just because it's so different from the occasional first person to third person adventure games. I right now I do see myself branching out to different genres. That's where I find myself at something like Gears Tactics. So I'm definitely interested in what's being shown in the game. I don't think I'll be getting it day one. And then in terms of Bright Memory, I'm loving the pacing of the gameplay, and the fact that it's made by one guy is for sure applaudable. I can't even imagine the amount of work he has to do by himself. And this is to me one of the best looking next gen games right now on there, besides like Gears and the bigger ones. And it's just one person developing it. So I'm just interested in what this game is. I know it's a smaller game compared to a giant like Assassin's Creed or Cyberpunk, but I tend to love smaller indie titles because of how much they tend to experiment with their games compared to the bigger studios. And it looks like a great game to showcase some of the graphics for the Series X until we get those huge AAA first party games. So we can try this out until Halo Infinite comes out, because I believe this Bright Memory, the first one is on release day, and then Bright Memory Infinite is, am I right, where it's 2021?
Mhm.
I believe. Okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, so just the way the game moves and how fast paced it is and how intense it looks like a good time. And I see some people pointing out the chat that that the fact that point out the same energy for Sony only having the thing, only having was it Demon Souls for one game. I could argue against that in some cases. Yeah, Demon Souls is probably the only first party game coming out, and it's very a hardcore audience, so I can see people's point with that. But Miles and Miles and Demon Souls are arguably, those are games people are gonna, even if it is on the PS4, I will argue people are gonna want to get those enhancements.
I mean, even just like real talk, keeping the same energy. Because I don't give a shit what console sells more, what console does better, what anything, because I don't get a check from Sony, so I don't give a shit. If I had to go, just being again taking my PlayStation bias out of it, Spider-Man, what platform am I going to pick that up on? Right?
Well, that'd be a PlayStation, right?
Exactly. It leads you towards that one direction. So like, yeah, I'm keeping the same energy. You could still go out there and buy it on a PS4 for sure. But if you're buying a PlayStation 5 at launch, that's a really good thing of like, well, like even my brother, like he's not getting a PlayStation 5 at launch. He's just like, man, but like, do I just wait then? Maybe I'll just buy a PlayStation 5. Like that's, as a person who is a super casual, he's just like, yeah, maybe. Again, super anecdotal. I don't know what the casual audience, what they want. The only people that really know are the MPD group. But like, just again, take our love for whatever platform we have out. It is what it is.
Yeah, and that's my point. Like, that people are probably going to see it that way. Spider-Man is a huge IP, regardless. But who cares about the NPD? Like, who cares about what console is going to make more money at this point? What appeals to you as a gamer? What do you think, or do you really care about power? Then you might lean towards Xbox. Do you really care about like Sony's library of games they have proven? And then you're either way, you're investing to the future of both systems, right? For Xbox and Sony, you looked at the the Xbox showcase, like, oh, a lot of those games, State of Decay, Fable, those games will appeal to you. It's not out right now, but that's in the future. Sony is the same thing. A lot of those games, like God of War, is coming, so you're going to invest with the PlayStation because of the future, not necessarily right now. So
I think that's a great point. And if I could just vamp for just a second too, it's like if you're in the know, and maybe just like if you're in the know, having that same energy, it's like, yeah, what type of gamer are you? Like if you're a Western RPG guy, you're probably gonna now pick up an Xbox Series, right? Because even if, and like a chance is, what if the next Bethesda Studios game is coming out next year, we could then probably assume it's going to be maybe for both the Xbox and Series, right? If we're keeping that same argument, what is that, right? You're now, it's about ecosystem. So if you are interested in a Bethesda like title, well, chances are you're looking at the Xbox ecosystem. So like, yeah, though there isn't, keeping the same energy, nothing that blows my socks off this launch, right? There is not a single game that I'm like, that's my Xbox Series game. I'm doing it. I'm updating because of the things that are out right now, right? So like the Sea of Thieves, like seeing those loads firsthand is insane.
Right.
So again, keeping the same energy. Is it the most like my socks being blown off by this launch? No. Am I still getting it anyway? Absolutely.
Yeah.
The tech's there. It's cool. It impresses me.
Yeah. And you know what? To close out the show, let's get Slow-Mo's opinion on it. Now, Slow-Mo, we understand that like the Falconeer isn't your cup of tea. And I get it. It's just not. It's not basically blowing up your skirt. That's fine. And most people actually on the panel were like, "Yeah, I could take it or leave it." For me, like I said, it certainly hits the feels for me because I like that genre. So I'm excited for it. I'm excited from the story behind it. It's one guy that made that game. Took him years to do. The music is epic. Do any of these games for you? And they're again smaller games to launch with the Series X, right alongside Dirt. Right alongside Assassin's Creed and Cyberpunk and Call of Duty. And these are all monster games. I still think there's something to be had about having these smaller experiences to launch with your big console.
Yeah, I mean, look, every console launch will have like some smaller games that wasn't really on anyone's radar, and they come out and they really surprise and shock people. And I think the Falconeer and Bright Memory will likely do that. Now, in regards to the Falconeer, like I said, it's not my cup of tea. I remember Crimson Skies back on the original Xbox was like a sleeper hit that a lot of people enjoyed, although I didn't play it because I just wasn't really into that kind of game, So, but here's the funny thing about Game Pass, though. So prior to Game Pass, you would see a game that you would hear some hype for, and you would say, that's not really for me. Maybe I'll pick it up on like a deep sale if everyone really likes it, and maybe I'll try it out then. But if you already have Game Pass, then it's kind of like, well, maybe I'll install it and give it a shot.
Yep.
That is the value in it. Now, there have been games that I said I was going to install and it didn't, or games I did install and just never launched, like No Man's Sky. But the fact that there was opportunity was still there in order to give it a shot. And I'm pretty sure most developers are happy about that. Also happy about the upfront money they're getting from Microsoft to even put their games in there to begin with. So those are always a great value for gamers right now. Now, in regards to Bright Memory, I played Bright Memory, the beta, early access, whatever you want to call it, version on PC. I played it earlier this year. Came out last year. It's a very, very unique first-person shooter experience. It's not very long though, so like people need to make sure they understand. And I think there's always been a lot of confusion between Bright Memory and Bright Memory Infinite, because what we saw at the July showcase, was it July or was it the May one? I think it was the May showcase.
Event, yeah.
That is Bright Memory Infinite, which isn't out and looks much improved from what Bright Memory was. So when I played Bright Memory, and I did a video on it on my channel, I enjoyed what I played. definitely has kind of some of that Devil May Cry vibe with like juggling enemies, getting scored for your combo, and how many hits that you hit an enemy with, as well as the gunplay. The gunplay is really tight, going from like the zoom to shoot part aspect to it. But there were times where I would feel like I was sinking through the floor. It was really weird. Like in certain areas, I'd be like sinking. I'm like, what's happening? Why am I like, am I crouching? What is that? Like I didn't think I was crouching. And it's almost like I was sinking through the floor. Like there were little things that when you start out, and for 2 years of this game's development is being developed by one guy, and he has a team now, but it's still like just a dozen dudes trying to make a game. It's not like a dramatic improvement in the number of resources that he has. Those things that you kind of just you let it slide, when it comes to indie games. There was another thing that I think I've noticed with the trailer and what they've been showing with Bright Memory Infinite as far as improvements. It's like the character models look dramatically better.
Yeah.
The main protagonist, she looked like a dead person. Like I was playing a zombie in the first game. Like facial expressions were non-existent, where she looks a lot more expressive now. Her hair would clip through her body at some points, and haven't seen the full game yet, but from what I've seen, that doesn't seem to be the case anymore. So I'm glad to see that he's getting the funding and the resources he needs in order to make the game better. Some of the other aspects of the gameplay, the grappling hook, the sword, the melee, like all that stuff has way more polish than it did in the original game. So, but I still think even with that original game coming out at launch, I think it will probably perform better than it did on PC. Because I'm thinking that if they're putting it out on a different platform, they're not just going to straight just port over everything that they had in that 45 to 1 hour bit of gameplay that had all kinds of little bugs here and there and needed some work. I think it's probably going to end up having some quality of life improvements from where it was when it first came out a year ago to now. But all that said, I think Bright Memory probably would be an experience that people are going to play that for $9, play for an hour, say that was a nice little appetizer. I can't wait for Bright Memory Infinite, where it's going to be a much bigger, more fleshed out experience. The Falconeer, for people who like flight games, Star Fox, those kind of games, I think that's probably going to be right down their alley. They're really going to enjoy it. So yeah. Having those experiences and having them in both of those are in Game Pass, right?
Yeah.
Having those in Game Pass, like bam, that's once again, a value for Game Pass that you're not getting anywhere else.
Do we know Crossfire X? Sorry to interrupt you, Boom, but
I don't know what's going on with that. I thought that was going to be a launch title as well. I'm not sure.
They're listed for
We haven't heard
2020,
anything.
but we haven't heard anything, so it's really weird.
What was the game again? I'm sorry.
Crossfire X.
Crossfire X.
The first-person shooter by Remedy that they're doing. It's like Call of Duty, their version of Call of Duty, with
The budget version of Call of Duty.
What version?
It's been out for a
budget
while.
Version.
It's been
Wow,
out
look at Zebby tossing the shade. Throw the hatred over there at Zebby. If I could just say one thing, well, I like what FC Violent just said on Twitter an hour ago. When it comes to the launch, no matter what your opinion is of either launch, when Hellblade 2 drops and Halo drops, we're gonna forget. We're gonna forget this launch even existed.
And that really be there. That's the truth. That's the truth of the matter. And again, granted, the games are coming. Folks, listen, we're over the 2-hour mark by 12 minutes, and I want to thank everybody for coming here. Again, maybe this wasn't the biggest show that we did of the year. I thought that the two topics that we hit had a lot of great points. Hopefully, you enjoyed it enough to stick around. The 3 super chats that came in late, I'll read those, and we'll get everyone to their outros. Kay Asante, very generous friend of the show. He drops an outstanding $5 super chat, says, great GPU. What exclusives you're going to play? Great LGCX. What exclusive movies are you going to watch? Launch lineups equals outdated metrics. Indeed, I agree. I think that, again, there's going to be something for everyone. And for Microsoft, the fact that you can go and play games that you might have missed with a ton of advantages that weren't originally available on the original release is a big deal. A lot of people are discounting the fact that Gears is going to run at 120 frames per second. and that you're getting 4K ultra settings on the single player. If you missed that game or you're new to Xbox and you're playing that and you're seeing that with virgin eyes, I envy you, because that game is already gorgeous. And with all of the advancements that you're getting with these new consoles, it's going to look even better. And again, right now, Sony isn't launching with a Horizon, Forbidden West. They're not releasing with a God of War 2. They're releasing with Miles, and Miles is going to be one of the first games I'm playing, and probably only going to be playing till I beat it. And I can't wait. But Demon Souls, again, looks great. I can guarantee you that game is not going to sell well, because it is for an audience that just does not. If you're not a diehard Souls fan and you're buying a PlayStation 5, you're not buying it for Souls. I can tell you're buying it for Spider-Man. And of course, Godfall looks great. I got the $100 edition because that's just who I am, and I'm looking forward to that game. But that's a game also I don't think is going to sell well. And regardless of whether it does, and
I'll make a bet with you, Boom.
What's that, sir?
I think Demon Souls is going to sell really well.
Okay, well, if you think so, I don't, but okay. Not at $70. Not a $70 investment in a Game Pass investment. Yeah, we'll see.
I mean, it is the one true exclusive for PlayStation. I think it will sell well. I think it's going to do.
Just seeing how
great. So
how Neo blew expectations from PlayStation, and game of the generation, Bloodborne.
What game is that?
Bloodborne. It's been 1,000.
Listen, folks, let me get to the two other. We have Insane Cakes drops a very generous $5 super chat. Love the name. Says awesome stream. Shout out to 3-Bit. There you go. See 3-Bit. You got fans here. Pixel Bit G, another generous friend of the show. He drops an outstanding $2 super chat and says there is exactly one exclusive on the PlayStation 5. Same energy. Look, again, I'm not going to get into this tug of war of who has a better opening and who doesn't. I like what both people are bringing to the table. I would, of course, loved Halo there, and I think that if Halo would have been there, this is not even a conversation. If Halo Infinite turned out what we thought it was supposed to be, this is not even a conversation. As great as Miles is going to be, it would have been all about the Master Chief. Unfortunately, 343 has dropped the ball, and they need some fixing. And we talked about that several times in this show, and I will continue to talk about it. I'm sorry to say change needs to come to that studio, and they need to re-galvanize what it means to release a Halo game on an Xbox console. That is the end of the conversation. You can dislike me, you can give me the finger, or you can thumbs down the shit out of this video. That is fine. Halo needs to be the game that we all want it to be, and that is to be the king of first person again. And right now, that team, the heads at 343 are just not cutting the mustard. So if I was running the show, I would be firing or moving people.
ID tag.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You know what? Get help from somebody, because 5 years of development and $500 million of an investment into an engine, you can't figure it out, then someone or some people that are making this game are just not cutting the mustard. And again, I don't want to.
I believe the unofficial method for 343 is to demote you, but not actually take your title away or. Well,
that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
That's what they've done to the last two lead directors, Tim Longo and Chris Lee. They demoted them, replaced them with directors, but they still kept their titles until their pride told them to move on and do something else.
Look again. Yeah. We could spend another hour talking about my disappointment in the fact that Halo's not here, and my disappointment in 343, and we're not going to get into it because we're closing out the show. But if you want to challenge me, and as a podcaster, as a fan of Halo, as someone that behind me has a shrine up on there of everything Master Chief, and you want to tell me that you're okay with the way things have been run at 343, either A, you're a fraud, and or B, you're an ostrich and your head is in the ground and you do not want to see what is going on at that studio, and apparently there is a problem. But Slow-Mo, let's get you on out of here, brother. You got something going on tonight with, of course, my very good brother, Gaming Forte. It is your duo podcast, but that is not the only podcast you're on weekly. Why don't you tell everyone about where they can follow you on social media, but more importantly, subscribe to your YouTube channel and also check out the other shows you're on?
Oh, absolutely. Boom. Thanks for the invite. My first time Xbox Factor podcast. I appreciate it, man. Amazing panel we had here today. Awesome chat as well, except for a couple of few, the usual trolls. They gotta crawl out, from under the cracks like roaches and come show their face. But it is what it is, Yeah, you guys can check me on my YouTube channel, Slow-Mo Backslap. I talk about games of all platforms. Doesn't matter. If it's a good game or it seems like a promising game, I talk about it. I talk my opinions on what's going on out here. So come check me out. You can also catch me on the Basement Radio Arcade podcast, which we had last night on Wednesdays, 9 p.m. Easterns. You can catch me on the Scumcast with the Ash and Luca, 4 p.m. Easterns for that on Saturdays, as well as, as Boom said, the DPS podcast, the Damage Per Second podcast tonight, Thursday night, 9 p.m. Easterns. Me and Forte going to get into it. We got into it a little bit last night. Forte got his feelings hurt a little bit. He got real upset. I think he's calmed down a little bit, but it might get a little emotional again tonight. We'll see what happens.
Well, looking forward to it. Regardless, I think what you guys are doing in the community with your channels is amazing. I think that the community has responded in kind, and you guys are getting the subs that you deserve. And I think that you are a content creator, Slow-Mo, that people should definitely subscribe to and support, because you bring lots of thought-provoking content, and I definitely dig it for sure. So thank you, of course, for being here. Let's get over to Thanks, dude. Let's get over to Zemi Games. Zemi, obviously, you're not the cooking Zemi that we once knew and loved. That you have basically abandoned cooking, which is hopefully not for much longer, because obviously cooking shows take up a lot of time. There's no doubt about it. But do me a favor. Where could people follow you, potentially reach out, have a conversation with you, and where could people watch you scream like a 12-year-old girl tomorrow after 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on your Twitch stream?
Yeah, so guys, you guys can go and follow me on YouTube at Zemi, there's no at, it's just Zemi Games on YouTube. I do a bunch of gaming related content such as tutorial videos, gaming news, and reviews. You guys can also follow me over at Twitter using at Zemi Games. And I say this during every single show, and I truly do mean it. If you guys heard something during today's show that I said that you agree with, or even if you disagree with, always feel free to send me a DM. I absolutely love interacting with the community and just hearing different people's opinions about, all the different, topics going around and gaming news. So feel free to, give me a follow on Twitter, and definitely feel free to throw me a DM. Once again, love talking to you guys. And then Boom, I think I'm going to be sick. I don't know if I'll be able to show up to that stream tomorrow. I'm trying to avoid it as much as possible. But no, it's actually going to happen tomorrow.
Little Hope looks scary, bro. It looks scary.
It looks terrifying. Once again, Boom, just please don't abandon me. Okay, just don't abandon me. Just don't leave me. Okay, like I don't know if my heart can take it. Okay, I'm getting old. No, but guys, I will be streaming Little Hope tomorrow with Boom at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You guys can follow that if you guys just go to Twitch and search up Zemi Games. I'll also be posting a link to the stream on my Twitter tomorrow before it happens. And I'm so excited, let me tell you.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, for sure. No doubt about that. Mr. Bearbit, let's get you on out of here, brother. What you got going on over on your outstanding channel known as the Trophy Room? And more importantly, where could people reach out to you on social media?
So we have a lot of reviews dropping over on the Trophy Room over at Sorry, let me start over. We have a lot of reviews dropping on the Trophy Room YouTube channel, so make sure you tune into that. We just did our review of the Pulse 3D wireless headsets. Those are for the PS4, PS5, and PC. Really good review. A lot of people seem to dig it. We'll be doing a Arctis 7P video pretty soon. Hopefully that'll drop by Friday, so you can check that out over on the channel. Also happening on Friday, my Assassin's Creed Valhalla preview stream will launch right after Breakfast with Boom is over. So if you're interested in Valhalla, you want to see what that game looks like and see my dumb stupid head in some corner of the screen, go check that out at twitch.tv/PS Trophy Room. And for all the updates of the Trophy Room and all that stuff, podcast made by the players for the players, check out that podcast over at Google Play, Apple Podcasts, wherever you find your podcast services, and find me over at Mr. Babbitt over on Twitter. It could have been a smoother landing. Is what I'm trying to say.
Good. It's good.
Yeah, it was good.
Ever since the name change, I'm trying to find the sweet spot. I haven't found it yet.
Well, listen, you're definitely getting there. Let's get you on out of here, brother. Thank you so much for being here. Also, joining the podcast in the last couple of weeks. We love having you on here. Love with the energy that you bring. You definitely have the knowledge that we all know and love. Tell everyone about your YouTube channel, but more importantly, when can people reach out to you on social media?
Yeah, you guys could go to my YouTube channel, The Video Games HD. You guys can follow me on Twitter, The VGHD. I have a lot of stuff planned this week. It's going to be a busy week. I originally had the interview scheduled with Paul Jenkins, who is the writer of Wolverine Origins, and he's my boss. So that was going to be this week, but we're going to push that to next week because he's super busy. And then I'm also really busy this week with content, which is really fun. So this week I'll be doing the part 2 to the acquisitions video I made. And then you'll be seeing some. This is a Series X. That's next week.
Yeah.
So whenever
next Tuesday.
Yeah. So you'll see like an unboxing and my impressions on that when it comes out as well. So yeah, that's where you guys can follow me. And thank you guys for having me. Great panel today.
Thanks so much, brother. Super appreciate it. And last and no way least, Archimedes, you've been exploding on the scene. Your videos, production have gone through the roof, in my opinion. Love what you bring to this community. And I think that they have responded in kind. Definitely like to see you grow even further. I know that I pushed the pressure of maybe you hitting 4,000, and that might be unattainable in the last 2 months of the year. But hell, you never know. Tell everyone about your YouTube channel, but more importantly, where can people strike up a conversation with you on social media?
Yeah, thank you so much for that outstanding compliment. Yeah, you can find my channel at Boxenberger, same on Twitter, Xbox Live, PlayStation Network, wherever I am. It's Boxenberger. Yeah, my YouTube channel, it's been a crazy journey leading up to next gen, and it is almost here. And I have put out my last gen video already. The next video that will go up will be my opinion and reaction video to the launch of the Xbox Series X on the video will probably be out on Wednesday then. I've also planning something behind the scenes. Boom, you are included in that, and I will make that announcement next week, I hope. But I'm really looking forward to that. And yeah, so if you are interested in a commentary video game channel, check out my YouTube.
Yeah, and I think you're going to like everyone's content on this panel. Everyone brings something unique, and more importantly, and I think this is the most important thing, an honest opinion on gaming without trying to steer people in a direction that they may or may not want to go. And I think that is why we gel so well here on this particular panel. Of course, I want to thank the outstanding chat, Lethal Papa, keeping it real as always and dropping the band hammer to the knuckleheads. I saw you, Lethal, and I definitely appreciate the hard work because my God, people get in their feels. And that's when the nastiness comes out. If you're going to be a nasty sumbitch, you're not going to be welcome to come back here. So, like I tell everyone, Lethal Papa, full authority to banhammer you, and I'm not even going to ask why. If he believes That's how much trust I have in this man. If he believes that you're that big of an a-hole and he gives you the big old boot in the ass and sends you on your way, don't DM me talking about that guy, that sheriff guy. He banned me. I'm not even going to ask why, because I trust him that good. So don't be an a-hole, and you can hang out as long as you want. Of course, the generosity continues to flow in. And thank you so much for the outstanding super chats. And again, we're putting this money away, folks. Christmas with Boom is going to be crazy. We're looking for some big giveaways. How big, I can't say right now, but we're working on it as we speak. So that's going to be the show before Christmas. We do every year, and every year the prize pool gets higher and higher. Last year, Mrs. BoomStick and I gave away, I believe it was $500 worth of giveaways, and we're looking to exceed that this year and continue giving back to this outstanding community. And of course, I'm going to close out the show with something that's important to me. Hopefully one day it will be important to you. And that is something that my dad taught me. It made me a better man, but more importantly, made me a better police officer in my 21 plus years as a New York City police officer serving the great city of New York. And he used to say, son, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, and I can guarantee you, you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone, and we'll see you next week on the special launch day edition of the Xbox Factor podcast at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you're going to hang around for tomorrow's Breakfast with Boom, it is going to be a big show. We have Wilmy Hood joining the crew for the day. Hopefully, you'll stop by and check that out. So take care, everyone. We'll see you next week. Enjoy gaming on whatever console you enjoy gaming on. Take care.